gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to Nerd Fight! The ultimate showdown where geek culture collides with unfiltered opinions and passionate debates. I'm your host, Mr. Know-It-All, bringing you the latest and greatest from the world of movies, TV shows, and all things nerdy. But hold on to your warp cores because the real captain of this starship is none other than Salty Trekker. So strap in for a wild ride because we're talking about the Penguins' penultimate episode, Lower Decks. All that and more starts right now. You don't want to miss it. That means only one thing. It's time to fight. Nerd Fights.
Oh my goodness. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Nerd Fights. I am, of course, your host, Mr. Know-It-All. Joining me, as always, is the captain of this starship, Salty Trekker. Sir, how are you today?
Just awesome. I just finished learning from one of the subscribers on my other channel that Booth shooting Lincoln was a good thing.
Wow. Okay. I don't know how you walk that one, but all right, I'm with you.
I'm lost. I don't even know what to say. I mean, there's crazy, and then there's that.
Yeah, I don't know how you like what? I'm confused. I'm genuinely I'm genuinely confused. Like, how does that even reconcile? But whatever.
Well, keep in mind the same guy earlier in the conversation was talking about how the people of the Ukraine are a bunch of the N-word that refers to the Germans in the 1940s.
Wow.
Because they're fighting the Russians that invaded their country.
Okay.
And because this started over, I guess there was a secession attempt in the Ukraine for part of the Ukraine wanted to join with Russia. And the Ukrainian government said no. And I said, well, I think the government has the right to determine their own borders. You know, and unless you're rooting for the South, you would have, you know, if you're going to be consistent about it,
sure.
And so that's when he said that Booth shooting Lincoln was Booth doing God's work because the South should have been able to secede. So,
all right, everybody. So welcome to the show. Clearly, we talk about nice light fare.
Yeah, we're not talking about that, guys. I don't care. We're not talking about it.
I would normally spend a ton more time talking about our weeks, but we have a lot of stuff to get through tonight.
We do.
Starting with, we're going to be doing, the way the show's going to run tonight is very simple. We're doing the Penguin finale review. We're going to really dive deep into that and chew on that for a bit, because there's a lot of things to talk about with regard to that, and sort of what it means overall for what they're calling the Batman crime saga, which I'm like, all right, fine, whatever.
Is that what they're calling it? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a name for it.
Yeah, no, that's what they're this little pocket of the DC universe that's not directly related to, but more tangentially connected to James Gunn, is being called the Batman crime saga. So that's fun, and I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that. And then time for the Wild Kingdom of Aesthetic Dart Gun.
Yes, story. I guess that. Yeah.
No, right on. And then, of course, but. Right after that, we're going to get into, because of all the various things happening in the world of streaming, as well as a lot of things that drop, we're going to talk about some trailers. And then after the trailers, we're going to really dive deep and take the rest of the show into ranking all of the MCU streaming shows. I had originally thought it was one thing, it's become something else, and I'm still down here for it. So we're piling them all. If it's on Disney Plus...
Hey, I left out a bunch of stuff.
Quite
just
a few.
So you know, I did leave out a bunch of stuff.
No, I noticed that. I was looking for like some things that I didn't see. But either way, whatever. I'm excited for it regardless. Let's talk. For now, let's talk some Penguin-y stuff. Specifically, getting into a little bit about what the finale means. And man, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, the obvious question is, did they stick the landing? And I would say yes, they absolutely did.
I think they absolutely did.
There was the funny thing is there were two big things that we predicted.
Yeah, it's totally going to spoil it for you.
Yeah, Planet X. You probably join us in about a half an hour or so. But
sorry.
Yeah, because you don't want this show spoiled. And
I'll go with that.
Yeah, so if you pop back in, if you see the background you see right now, don't turn up your audio.
No, for real.
And then, but as soon as possible, as soon as we get through the Penguin stuff, then the background will change, and you'll be safe to join us.
Agreed.
We want you here, Planet X.
Absolutely want you here.
But I don't want you to get spoiled on this because it's a really good show.
Yeah. Traveler asked the question, why is there no Batman in all these Batman shows?
This is not a Batman show. This is a Penguin show.
Correct. And also, Batman's a bit of a hot commodity. But no, in-universe, Matt Reeves actually said that the Batman's going through a bit of an existential crisis at the moment. Because if you saw if you didn't see the Batman, spoilers, but if you saw the Batman, at the very end of it, he finds out he's the one that created, in essence, the Riddler. And through misunderstanding of what his mission was, because he himself...
Oh, you faded out there.
Sorry, because he himself wasn't articulating his mission correctly?
Right, and notice, like, if you watch the Batman, he doesn't actually call himself Batman. He calls himself Vengeance.
Right.
And then when he realizes that Riddler's henchmen are calling themselves Vengeance, he realizes, oh, crap, I'm no different than them.
Right.
And so I think that now we're going to get the Batman proper after the Penguin series. And you faded out again. What is up with your audio?
No. The sound, I purposely turned mine off to muted it because that sound, there's like a fan sound in the background.
Oh, it's probably my... Here, let me...
Oh.
Is that better?
Is that like life-saving? I don't want to...
Well, I forgot I had it on. It's just a little AC unit.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're not going to like...
I won't...
Because it was all medical stuff. Beep! I was like, whoa.
It's just the thing connected to my heart that's keeping...
Yeah, are you charging your spine?
Yeah. Well, no, the charger for my spine is usually silent.
Nice.
So, but yeah, so...
Okay.
All right, so did they stick the landing? I think they absolutely did. But one thing that I think is interesting, they did two things that we predicted on this show.
Go for it.
They put Sophia in Arkham.
Yeah.
And we saw the bat signal at the very last shot.
Yeah, almost exactly the way we described it.
Yeah.
Which is him in this tower, and then, I mean, not how we got there, obviously, but like...
Yeah.
Just, and it was amazing. And I loved... I've heard some people kind of going, he looks corny or whatever, and I'm like, not really. He said he wants to be. He said he wants to be upper class. He wants to be whatever, and he's been told you got to clean up. So at the end of the day, this is what cleaned up through his eyes looks like.
Right.
And I thought, and I'm like, why you can't do better? You know what I'm saying? You really can't. All he needs now is a monocle, and that's it.
So yeah, and he even had a top hat with him in that last scene. He just didn't have it on his head, which I thought was such a cop-out. He should have been wearing it when he walked in the building.
Agreed. No, totally. And then taking it off to hang it up. He noticed he hung it up on a thing with an umbrella. I was like, oh.
There have been umbrellas hiding in this in the show throughout.
Yeah,
so
no, for sure. I just love it. I was like, right on, man.
But yeah, I think that this was a nice segue to the Batman 2. The problem is the Batman 2 is still like 2 years away.
Oh, I know. October of 2026. And I'm like, oh.
So are they going to do another season of The Penguin or another show in this same world?
So apparently there are serious discussions about whether or not they'll do an actual season of the second season. I know that Matt Reeves has said that there are other stories to be told. I figure but this is supposed to take us right to the Batman. So I don't know that he's going to put anything in the middle.
Right.
At least I think that was
planned. You could do a show about another character.
You could. You absolutely could.
Right. Like what about, a Jim Gordon series showing like what is he doing now that Batman is out of the picture and maybe his rise to becoming commissioner.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because in the Batman, he's a detective. He's not the commissioner. And in fact, everybody else gets peeved at him because he works with Batman.
That's right. I do love that one moment when he brings him in first to the first crime scene.
Yeah.
And the cops are looking at him like, who is this outsider? What's going on here?
Right.
And you have to think, so if you take 2 seconds and get away from the coolness of Batman and just sit here and go, okay, the guys who are actually trained to fight bad guys and capture them have a guy in a Halloween costume walking in. Who cares how prepared he is? Mm. It just... Like if you put yourself in their shoes, I could feel like, yeah, this is wrong on some level.
Yes.
So it's interesting, but they play it well. They play it real well.
Yeah. So I think that, I honestly, I would like to see this Gotham verse continue. But the problem that I have with it is that I don't want then there to be a Batman for the DCU. I want either or. I do not want both.
I think we are getting a Batman for the DCU.
Yeah, I know, but
Which I don't know that I agree. I don't. The thing is, and I told Mrs. Know-It-All this. I don't see why you couldn't have this be their Batman.
I don't either. That's my problem.
Have always felt differently in the comics. They've never had a problem with that. You know, and I don't think you'd be quick to have Superman guest star in this universe.
Well, and the thing is that, like, everybody knows, if you've read any DC comics, everybody knows that if God were to give the DC universe an enema, he would stick the hose in Gotham City.
Wow.
That's how bad Gotham City is, like the worst place, right?
It is.
And it's the gigantic urban slum of the DC universe. And so, as such, that's where the superheroes, they don't bother with it because they figure it's a lost cause.
Sure, I'll go with that.
But Batman, it's his city. No, that's even like things he says in like, I rewatched the Batman recently, right. And like in his little narrative that he talks about, he's like, it seems like, I've been doing this for 2 years and things have gotten even worse. Maybe I should give up, but I can't give up because it's my city. So for him, it's personal. He's not going to give up on Gotham like everybody else has because Gotham is his hometown.
Right on. All right, so that's fair. So now that we've discussed Batman and the show that doesn't have Batman, what do you think? Why do you think? Stan Lee just says we haven't really seen the tone of Superman movie. I don't know. I think we kind of have. I mean, you've seen him. They've been filming scenes with kids. You've been seeing him film scenes outdoors. Everything is very bright. Everything
looks very retro.
And he looks. I mean, they filmed the scene with him saving a cat out of a tree. Yeah. If that doesn't tell you the tone, I don't know what does. So I feel like, I get it. I know what you
never know. You never know. It could be like he takes the cat and then hits it with his heat vision and cooks it for the kids. Says, "Don't let your cats out, kids." That would be.
Dwayne Wagner says Gotham shouldn't be slum. It should be a formerly beautiful city with a great architecture that's in decline. I think people would make that same argument for Detroit. That literally you described how people describe Detroit.
Creep. Don't make me kick you out of here. You have no idea. That one word is such a trigger right now because of what we were talking about in the other live stream.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So.
That's awesome. I honestly, so Stan Lee, sidebar, I know we're talking about a lot of stuff, so whatever. And I'll happily have this nerd fight, not tonight, but at another later time. I think both. I loved both of these movies at the time I saw them. You know what I mean? Now, I think if you sit with me, I think if I were to sit here and say which one do I hold higher now, just the Carl Urban Dredd. But when I watch once in a while, Judge Dredd will come on like someplace, and I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this, and I have a good time with it. So, just a thought.
Oh, look, and there he is.
Really?
Super chatting on your channel, by the way.
Really? How'd you find me?
Your channel's the only one that can take super chats on this stream.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
So Alex is there on your channel promoting.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you, buddy.
The assassination of Lincoln.
I guarantee you. Here, I have one argument that always seems to work. You ready? I saw this in a Star Trek meme. So the Earth is 70% water, right? It's non-carbonated water, isn't it? Would that be flat?
The Earth is flat.
I'm just saying. I told Mrs. Nono, I said, do you realize I would respect that answer and conclusion before I'd ever respect the other? So I'm sorry. I'm the one taking us down a sidebar. Anyways, let's actually talk about the show. So, what did you think about how the thing opens with were you confused at all? I wasn't, but I know I've heard some people were like, is it his mom? Was it his flashback? And I knew almost immediately that we were watching her through her eyes events unfolding.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that at first. I was like, wait, what? Oh, okay, I get it.
Right.
And so it was one of those. It did take just a second to understand, but I didn't have a problem with it overall. I've heard that some people thought that it was really confusing, but I think it's also. I think it was kind of a setup for that ending with the hooker dressed as his mom.
Bro, hang on. Slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down. We're gonna get there because I want to talk about that so badly, but I feel like we have to do
It
everything.
could have been called Oedipus.
Oh,
You know,
bro. It is so crazy. That whole thing. Anyway, what about the revelation? By the way, spoilers all day long and twice on Sunday. So if you haven't seen this stuff, why are you here?
yeah.
Because we're
By
going
the
to
way,
talk about it.
Daniel, I'll have to say that Judge Dredd is my number 2 Rob Schneider, Sylvester Stallone team up in a dystopian future movie.
I sort of love that movie. Actually,
Yeah, but Demolition Man is a better movie.
oh my god, all day,
Yeah.
all day.
That's why I'm saying so Judge Dredd.
Demolition Man is classic, baby.
You could
I
say
feel
that.
like Judge Dredd was still holding on to that and wishing it could be that.
Yes.
Because no. That's a whole. You're playing a whole other game when you talk Demolition Man. I would love to talk Demolition Man someday. So it blew me away when I saw that his mom already knew, and I guess I don't know, and not just that, but planned to have Rex potential like that. I did love Rex's first, like when he's like, guys with like that are like him do really well and go on to do big things in my line of work. And I was like, okay, here's one way. And then he's like, or you can just, we can say goodbye to it and cause whatever, get rid of the problem.
Yeah, she was going to have her own son assassinated.
What? And I'm just like, oh, it was so rough, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then seeing the same moment that looked so sincere when we saw it 100% in flashback form, and then to see it from her perspective as she's mean mugging him and evil eyeing him every time he looks away. Mind you, he's not making it easier because he's like, "You really miss him, Ma? Yeah, I do too." And I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
probably should have just popped you right there in the place.
And I know I said this before last week, but again, that kid did they just like make a small chunky clone of Colin Farrell and have him play that role? Because oh my gosh, the inflections, everything he says, it's like so spot on. I'm like, this is weird how good this is. I that's just bizarre.
Oh, it really is. Oh my God! Yeah, Stanley points out. Yeah, Penguin who completely convinced himself that his mother didn't know.
Yeah.
Bro, convinced
Living in a
himself.
delusion. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's the other thing.
But I think Penguin's half convinced himself.
Well, hold on now. We're taking an awful lot of things on. We're walking down the path the writers want us to walk down, and that's fine. That's good writing.
Right.
But they don't ever, like, he never once cops to it. And how trustworthy of a narrator is a woman with a Lewy body diagnosis who suffers from hallucinations and and I'm like, so you sit here and you go, did she know? Was it a lucky guess? Yes, obviously it's true, but you stop and based on last week when we saw he's hanging out with his mom, looking over his shoulder, like la ho hum, it's okay, everything's good.
But has he convinced himself that since he never cops to it, has he convinced himself that
that's
he
what because he was that was the sincerity as a guy who's a former narcissist, okay, recovering narcissist, trust me. Oz's level of sincerity came across so real that I was like, oh, they have levels of like mental disorder and psychosis rather, and sociopathy happening in this one guy that I'm like, it blows me away. And you sit here and you go, he's about to become a member of Batman's Rogues Gallery. He's got to be more than just your basic schmo.
Right.
And I'm like, good for them. And
Batman's enemies have always been defined by basically different types of crazy.
Yeah.
Where Batman himself is not exactly the most mentally stable person. And then you have these rogues that are, completely psycho in different ways. And in the classic comics, it was always treated rather lightheartedly.
Agreed.
Here, you kind of have it. Well, let's take it seriously. Let's make Penguin a genuine narcissistic sociopath that is actually convincing himself that he is in the right with everything he does.
Sure.
And so I think that
He absolutely does. He totally thinks he's right.
yeah. So I think that they're basically with the Batman franchise at this point. They're trying to, and by the way, I would say the same thing about the Riddler in the Batman movie, is that the Riddler felt more like an actual mental patient than any of the villains we've seen Batman fight in previous films. And like even just the way that he smiles as they're arresting him. And little things that he does throughout that movie that kind of clue you into that the guy is completely lost it. He's suffering from massive delusions, and is clearly a sociopath. And so I really think that they're trying to do a more like they're saying, what if you actually had a city that had these insane people in it, but they were not going to say insane flippantly. We're going to say we're going to seriously look at mental disorders and what would drive someone to be the Riddler, or the Penguin, or the Joker, or any of these characters. And so that's one of the reasons that I would like to see this franchise continue. But I would
Can I ask you a philosophical question?
Okay.
Why can't characters just be evil anymore? And by evil, I mean just give me a mustache twirling, why can't people just be bad guys? Bad guys and good guys. Why has everyone got to be either mentally disturbed? Why does there have to be these reasons? I understand that we live in a true crime world where everybody wants to know the whys. How did Billy Joe whatever become the murderer, whatever? It's because of this and that and the other.
I think it's because Hollywood is an extension of leftist culture. And the leftist philosophy is that it's never your fault. It's because you had a bad childhood. It's because you were raped. It's because you were abused. It's because something bad happened to you that you do bad things. And unless, of course, you are a conservative, in which case you're just evil. So that's kind of the leftist philosophy on this. And Hollywood is a reflection of leftist philosophy. And that's why, even though we fought about it, that's one of the reasons that I think that the more recent Star Wars tries to throw shades of gray on everything, tries to make it look like, well, the Jedi were actually kind of jerks and the Empire did nothing wrong.
So why am I okay? So why am I okay with this, but I'm not okay with that? Or rather, why am I okay with that with Andor? Why do I feel like I don't see those things in Andor? But funny enough, I feel like I can see them here, and it's doing the opposite job. It's doing the opposite work here.
So you got another $1.99 from our John Wilkes Booth. By the way, in case you didn't know this,
I'm all about freedom. Freedom it up.
So you're thanking John Wilkes Booth?
No, I'm all about freedom.
Right, but he's saying John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah, and then he says, "Thank you for freedom."
Right, he's thanking John Wilkes Booth.
I am all about freedom. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my goodness.
No, but so why? But again, let's go back to that question. Why am I not okay with Andor, or why did I not agree with you about Andor? But I see that kind of thing here potentially. Even though, by the way, it didn't take away my noticing it does not take away my enjoyment of the thing. I need that to be clear. I enjoyed this immensely, arguably one of the best representations of comic book television I think we've ever had.
Right.
And it doesn't even have the titular character, quote unquote, from the thing it's from. I almost want to be like, Sony, pay attention. This is how you do villains without the hero, and make it make sense. Because they just had a horrible amount of trouble. So,
see, I'm okay with depending on what you're trying to do. Like if you're telling a serious story versus versus like if you're trying to make your world feel more grounded and real, like the Batman does,
Right.
Versus something a little more fantastical, like say the MCU or Star Wars, right?
Right.
So if you're going for grounded, I still want bad guys to be bad and good guys to be good, but I don't mind exploring what caused them, what's their motivation, stuff like that. Batman obviously is a hero, but why does he fight crime? He fights crime to avenge his parents.
Right.
So the Penguin is a crime boss. Why is he a crime boss? Well, that's kind of what this show is all about. He's basically he's a sick, twisted mama's boy that's trying to get the best for his mom.
Okay, that makes sense.
But he also, and so.
But in a weird, twisted way.
Right.
Because it's almost like, she really did end up doing the alternative version of what Rex said. He's like, when he talks about, if I want loyalty, I find guys who need a father. He doesn't need a father. He's got you. So that means you can be that pull. You can get him to do what you want and possibly even become great while doing it. As the motivation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I was really fascinated by that whole series of events because again, this is not the typical story. Because while we were here for it, we weren't rooting per se for the hero. He's not a hero.
Absolutely irredeemable, buddy. I mean,
yeah. The final and again, spoilers. The minute he puts his arm around Vic, boyfriend know-it-all looks at me, says, "Oh, he's done," and I was like, "What? No!" And like not 2 seconds later, he starts choking him out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
My wife was so mad because she really liked Vic.
So did we.
And it's like, oh. And I was like, that's the one thing I did not see coming. I was expecting.
I thought Vic would become like his henchman or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
But God bless. And and then the thing is, throughout this whole thing, they keep making him a hero.
Right.
Oh.
And let me ask this real quick, because since we're kind of talking about the darkness there and all that, but Creep asked, would serial killer Dexter be a superhero or villain if he was in a comic? He would be an anti-hero.
I think so too. Yeah,
Dexter is the very definition of an anti-hero. An anti-hero is a protagonist that basically does good for the wrong reasons or does good in a bad way.
Right.
But I don't mind an anti-hero show like Dexter, but my preferred show is actual heroes, actual villains. Hey, and you got more money from Alex. We're just getting rich off of Alex today. Maybe you're gonna read it since you're the one.
Sure, Trump is like Batman. Could be in French Riviera, but fighting for us little people who are not even thankful for the sacrifice. Class warfare rules. Wow. Thank you for the thanks for the money. Does that count as class warfare? I don't know.
I think Alex is just excited to be able to super chat on a stream that I'm on without giving me the money.
Whatever I can do. Did I tell you that other guy, like randomly the other day? Remember there was that guy I'd never met before who suddenly showed up on your stream, and he out of the blue the equivalent of starts sending me dirty pictures of you. I'm joking. It's like these photoshopped pictures of you from like Star. He's like, show these to him. They really annoy him, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Karen with the pictres of the of the salt vampire with my face on it.
What do you pet? But the way he did it was all like, here you go. Try some of these. He'll hate them. I'm like, what? It's so like like it was something shady.
Right.
Like I would sit here and be like, what the hell is this?
Hey, bud.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God, that was great. I'm sorry. But speaking of bad guys, no. But yeah, no. So then you get to this again. The fact that Oz, I got to know chicken and egg, because I believe Vic is the one who coordinated with Link.
Say that
The
again?
Asian guy who double crossed his boss. Did Vic set up all the number twos taking out their head, the bosses, or did Oz set that up?
I thought it was Vic's idea.
That's what I thought too. Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it, was that it was Vic's idea to basically have Oz go to all the number two guys and say, look, your bosses ain't doing, because that falls right into Oz's whole shtick.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where he keeps talking about how the crime bosses of the past never gave them their fair share.
Right.
But he was different. So now he's saying, well, your boss isn't treating you right. So join me and, you'll be part of a family.
Right.
A real family.
It's
Yeah.
oh, and
So-
then before we skip the part,
Yeah.
when Oz shows up with the Congress, was it a senator, congressman, somebody in the courthouse?
Yes.
By the way, I'm going to point it out because someone else pointed it out. Did you catch the Court of Owls?
Oh, yeah.
How like all the curtain drawing were designed to look like owls?
Yes, it looks very much like Court of Owls.
And so people are like, we see where you're going with this, Matt Reeves. And I'm like,
Yeah.
First off, Matt Reeves didn't do this.
Yeah.
Okay, he produced it. But this other lady is the showrunner who's done a magnificent job. Give her more of these things, I swear. All right, earn the money, know it all. Did the Confederacy have the right to secede, and did Lincoln have the right to become a tyrant? You are welcome.
Yeah, he believes that Lincoln was trying to be a dictator.
That's awesome. Right on, man. I love crazy ideas and top thoughts like this. I will tell you what, I very much thank you for the money, Alex, and I'm even willing to hold that in my pocket until such time as Saturday comes around. We have open mic. So if you would like me to sit here, and I will entertain every crazy question you have with sincerity and legitimately give it some thought and give it a good, honest response. So, and I won't even let Salty get in the way. Saturday, open mic. We'll see you there. All right.
You heard him commit, guys.
I totally will. Saturday, open mic.
First, we're going to talk about Lower Decks, though.
No, yeah. Lower Decks first, then open mic the second, and I'm all down. Whatever crazy things you guys want to talk about, let's do it.
How many pills do I need? Too many, Stan. I just took.
Too many, Rick. Too many. Sorry.
Yeah, I just took 4, but I take a lot through the day.
Sorry, brother. All right. So like this whole idea that they're going to take they what do you think the whole when he begins, I can't tell if Oz is as smart or just really opportunistic and lucky, because when he's spinning the yarn to the guy in court, I'm like, that's the move, but I had no idea it would go, because it's like, how did he coordinate the guys outside? I feel like part of it's luck and part of it's just he knows how to when to jump and take the opportunities.
I think that he is definitely an above average IQ.
Very.
But
like street nurtured. Like there's no sciencey school stuff.
Right,
People don't understand the difference.
Not educated.
There's genius that has to do with how I process information. Then there's genius that's like book scientist, Einstein-y type smart, where you actually have tons of referential information to draw from.
Yes, but like I say, he's smart but not educated, his education was on the streets. And you got more money coming in from Alex.
Alex says, "Don't appreciate being called crazy, sir. With respect, I did not call you crazy, but I'm willing. But I think any questions whatsoever. That's my way of saying, no matter how ludicrous others might think it is, I will take every question seriously."
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So I think that Penguin is very intelligent, but he's experienced how the streets work. He knows how people think at the street level.
That's a great question. I don't think he planned it. I think once it happened, his wheels started going. Because remember, he laughs at first, and then he's like, "Oh," and he curses himself. And I was like, "That's that felt so genuine and probably the most accurate of his portrait in terms of like he's an instinct guy and like, oh man, didn't even think about the repercussions. That plays out
Yeah,
the rest of this.
I don't think he was planning on killing the young Falcone. I think that he was planning on trying to move in on their drug operation, but more subtly.
Yeah, right.
But then when the kid, started mouthing off, he lost it and shot him. Because that's also how Penguin is. He's
legit.
You don't want to mouth off at the guy; he will kill you.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
So in the end, because we do have a lot to go over this show, so how would you rate this series as a whole?
The series as a whole, I thought was brilliant. I thought it really did good. I can't think of many misses other than just how they hooked me in, and I'm almost like, how dare you make me love a character that's so crappy, and why should I? It's terrible, but. Yay on you! Good job. You did the work. Like literally, not just Sony. The people who are involved with the Acolyte pay attention. Like anybody who wants to try to make a normally antagonistic character the center of attention in something, this is how you do it. It was brilliantly executed. I would give this entire series a 9. And that's being constructive. I don't necessarily know. I feel like there's room to grow in terms of what they're doing, but man, I loved it. I loved everything about it.
I would agree. I think a 9 is a good score for this show. This is probably one of the best streaming shows I've ever seen of any kind. And Penguin, they made a truly great love to hate him character.
Yeah, they did.
Because I absolutely despise Oz Cobb, but at the same time, man, what a compelling show.
Absolutely. Very compelling.
But there's nothing I want to see more now than Batman punch him in the face.
Yes.
Oh
my God. For real.
Especially Robert Pattinson's Batman, because when he punches you in the face, it looks like it hurts. And so
it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
Well, remember, he was in the beginning. He's still in that phase where he's not even trying to jump out of the shadows. He just walks right up to you in the middle of the night.
Right.
So I was like, whatever. Oh God, Thomas.
So there we go. That is our official review of Penguin. The only thing that I really, really don't like about this show is now I'm supposed to wait 2 years before the story continues. That's some BS right there.
It's gonna be good though.
Yeah,
it's gonna be good. So, all right. So you had talked about some trailers that you wanted to take a look at. There
were 3 in particular that dropped as a direct result of D23 Brazil.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we got a trailer for a new trailer for Captain America, a new trailer for the Thunderbolts, and a first trailer for what was the other thing? Oh, Andor season 2.
Yes. Yeah.
And
it was kind of more of a teaser, but yeah, I got it was good.
Right. So I'll say this. So of the 3 trailers, okay, so I think Captain America and Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts trailer was probably the most extensive. That gave us the most new information. The Captain America trailer gave us a little bit more, like we got to see Harrison Ford actually turn into Red Hulk.
Yeah.
And it's pretty clear that we're going to get a direct face-off of Falcon Cap versus Red Hulk.
Planet X is back.
Okay. Well, good timing.
And probably because he saw the background change.
Yes.
So he's like, sweet, I can come back now. That's awesome. I did hear about them, by the way. I did not see them, but I did hear about them.
So I think that both trailers did what they should be doing, which is, in my opinion, they're reinforcing the idea that I think that Marvel is getting back on track.
I feel like the let's talk about Captain America one first.
Sure.
We see a bunch of new scenes and new versions of new pieces of scenes we'd seen before, and the one thing that I thought was really clear from it was they have made a very grounded, very similar to like Civil War or some of those other movies out that he was in, Captain America: Civil War and whatnot. Winter Soldier specifically is what I was thinking about. But it's as grounded as you can make it with a large red creature that the president turns into. Okay, so I get it, but at the same time, you're like, don't try to sell me something else. I know it's the MCU. By now, we should know what to expect as the audience. I don't know why they feel like they have to keep selling something. I will say that felt very similar to the sense pre-Phase 4. And then the Thunderbolts felt the most like an earlier phase of Marvel.
Yes.
Everything about it shouted, I want to see that. Look at Marvel. Look at this wonderful. It was wonderful. So
yeah. But Alex gave you some more money.
Harrison Ford supported Camel Toes held hostage. What?
I don't get that either. I don't know what he's saying exactly. Why are you saying Harrison Ford supported Camel Toe and is held hostage?
I don't even know what Camel Toe is.
I don't understand that, but hey, it gave $2, so
thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate.
I forgot. What if also dropped a trailer? I forgot. There's that too.
Because again, that was also it was. So yeah, all right. Let's. What talk about next?
The What If trailer just looks like it's What If season 3. It looks very much like.
And we saw that they're going to have Storm, and it's voiced by the same actress who plays Storm in the X-Men animated universe. So that's cool.
Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to What If season 3 as well, but
more than I was actually more than season 2, I thought.
Yeah. And now Planet, you guys need to stop giving Mr. Know-It-All all this money. It's going to go to his head.
I think all of you love just the way you should.
You're supposed to be dropping your money on my channel when I'm doing live streams, not on his channel.
When he is also doing live streams. I don't know.
Yes, but we got to get the NerdFights channel monetized.
No, we do as soon as possible.
Anyway, the
I love you. So yeah, I think that I agree. The Thunderbolts looks very much like a Phase 2 Marvel movie. Their chemistry is ridiculous as a group.
Red Guardian, I mean, oh my gosh, David Harbour just looks like he's having so much fun playing Red Guardian. And
it's true.
Which is good. If the actor looks like they're enjoying what they're doing, then it usually means it's going to be fun.
Oh wait, hold on. This just in: we will be reviewing Rings of Power soon.
Because Thomas will start donating.
That's right. Because Thomas is a good one. You can keep Thomas happy.
Mm.
No, I'm just kidding.
Sure it is, creep. Sure.
Awesome.
But and so I love the fact that the humor in the trailer feels like classic Marvel humor.
Yes. Yes. Very much.
And Alex's Camel Toe is Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Well, first of all, I think that's demeaning and insulting, and I don't appreciate that kind of insult. But I don't think Harrison Ford should betray Han Solo with political endorsements, think they're holding him hostage. What?
They're holding Harrison Ford hostage? Did we just unlock did we win the conspiracy theorist award?
Okay, he was all over the place with conspiracy theories on my previous life.
I have two friends of mine who are hardcore. Like they almost playfully at this point but there are moments when they're like, no, but I'm serious. I'm like, whoo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alex was telling me on my other live stream that COVID was a plot by wealthy Americans were paying the Chinese government to develop a virus that they were going to release in 2030 so that they could establish a dictatorship in the United States.
Interesting. Darren says the movie's called Thunderbolts, but not one member of the Thunderbolts is actually on the team. You're absolutely correct. The actual, any of the characters who are supposed to be represented, although I think the comics is actually changing the lineup because of the movie. So like they've introduced Red Guardian and a couple other characters, but they're like the Marvel comic versions of them, so they don't look anything like the movies. So, but it's interesting watching the difference because I don't know if you remember back in the day, it used to be the movies followed and chased the comics, but now the comics are like, look, we're relevant. We're just like the thing you're watching and loving. Come.
Well, that's because nobody's buying the comic books.
I know, which is so sad. It's like, come on, man. This is what gave you all these great stories.
And I've never read the Thunderbolts comics, but as far as
I've listened to comics explain them.
All right. But I will say that look, the Thunderbolts trailer make me feel like this fits in the Marvel universe. These, besides the fact that, and one good thing about this is this is a team movie, but we've seen every member of this team before.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
And so we don't need an introduction to who Bucky is and who Red Guardian is and who the Black Widow 2.0 is and all that. Assuming you've watched all the Marvel stuff previously.
Black Widow 2.0, let's go.
Well, that's really that's.
I agree. No, I agree. You're not wrong.
And so I'm totally down for the Thunderbolts. The Captain America film feels a lot like the Winter Soldier to me, as far as the vibe.
Okay.
And so in that respect, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with Red Hulk.
I'm looking forward to seeing what Thunderbolts is going to do with the Sentry. Or the guy they've been calling Just Bob.
No, he's Sentry, yeah.
He's going to be a beast.
And so that'll be interesting to see what they're going to do with him.
Well, he's not going to be 100% like his counterpart in the comics, because I don't believe his power comes from like a dark void that he gets his strength. Like, I don't think he's schizophrenic yet. He could be. I could be wrong. And maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's why it makes him the villain of the movie.
He thinks he's just Bob.
Right.
He may not realize that he's super powerful.
Sure. He blacks out and becomes Sentry when he does his stuff. Yeah, I could see that.
So we'll see what they do with Bob and the rest of the team. But we also, like I said, with the Captain America film, I think that there's some setup going on there too, because I don't think this is going to be a one-off with Red Hulk.
No, absolutely not. I agree. Unless they horribly and tragically find a way to like reverse it, and at that point I'm like, are you crazy? Now you've created the potential for a cure. So what? Bruce Banner could be looking over his shoulder for different reasons now.
Yeah.
Not to mention, wouldn't he be the first one who wants to take it?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's weird. He's got to be here for longer. Which I'm like, why would you cast an old guy after the first guy died and create a character that's got to have some longevity?
And well, that's my biggest issue with it is casting. Not that Harrison Ford is a bad actor; he's great.
Not at all. He's amazing. But
he's so old that how long can Ross be a playable character or a viable character?
Right.
To recast him again, they already have the joke in the trailer about still getting used to the new look. But which they did a similar thing when they recast Rhodey in Iron Man 2.
It's true.
Where they kind of nudge, wink, wink at the camera. Yes, we know it's a different guy, and they should have done with T'Challa, but that's another story.
That's another story.
Yes, but the only thing I could think of is assuming Marvel is thinking ahead a little bit, is that maybe they're figuring that the Red Hulk is going to be kind of like Smart Hulk is now and will not transform back to Ross, in which case Red Hulk is a digital character and they can use AI to replicate Harrison Ford's voice.
Creepy set on the head, buddy. Let's recast a dead guy with a guy 100 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
He's actually not that far off.
Yeah. Harrison, I think he's in his 80s.
Yeah, he's in. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So he is not long for this world. I mean, don't get me wrong, love the guy, but
good friend of the show.
Yeah, but odds are not in his favor of
Wow.
survival every year. So
The odds are not in your favor.
yes. The funny thing is, once you get to Harrison Ford's age, the actuary tables no longer change.
That's hilarious.
They actually don't. The odds of your survival from year to year remain the same every year after something like 82 or 83. Oh, Lordy. You just won't. Alex, I'm begging you. We're not here to talk about Trump. We're not here to talk about COVID. All right? Can we just talk about nerdy stuff? Can you just leave it alone for a couple of hours a week? I promise.
No, Red Hulk is not evil, Daniel. Just to jump into the real quick answer Daniel's question. Red Hulk is not evil per se. My understanding, golly, it's been a while since I've read the story in the comics. It was a bad variation. They tried to do a genetic something or other. They tried to create another form of the Hulk, and I don't know where the color aspect came in, but
Red Hulk is actually generates heat.
That's what I was going to say. Yes,
Yeah.
He actually can make things. He doesn't shoot fire, but when he can,
he is fire.
Yeah, he is fire. He kind of gets that hot.
Yeah,
so it's a whole thing.
And my understanding is, and I'm sure Darren, if you're still here, he'll be more than happy to expound upon it because he's the expert. But just like Green Hulk, the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. Red Hulk, the angrier he gets, the more heat he generates, which can be a danger if he reaches a certain level.
Right.
And so
Darren said Red Hulk was created by cosmic rays more so than gamma rays. That's a fun fact I was not aware of, so that's pretty cool. Thank you for that.
And
Alex, tidbits. The more you know.
I got a comment. So he says, freedom is not free. Yeah, it's not dumb either. But you could stop talking about it.
I mean, I wouldn't charge you anything for your freedom. I appreciate the money, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, yeah. Obviously, his price tag is about $4.99 plus $2 plus another $2. Let's see. So, how much is freedom?
No, Red Hulk is just a terrible character concept, Darren. You're absolutely right. That's one thing I was like, really not. And what's funny is, in the comics, it wasn't that well received. They even did a Red She-Hulk at one point. And so I'm like, but now you're going to try this ill-conceived concept in the movies, and hopefully with a massive budget, you'll make it better. I feel like the only misstep we're going to see in Captain America Brave New World is going to be the Red Hulk story. I feel like it's going to be like Riri Williams was in the not Iron Man, in the T'Challa Black Panther movie, the T'Challa-less one, where it's like you suddenly just, they had to introduce and shove a character into something that only tangentially connected to her because she was black. Like Riri had no business being in that story. Period. It felt very, and that's how I think this is going to end up being also.
Right.
And you're going to sit here and go, I would have been perfectly content without this moment. I feel like Red Hulk's not going to add anything to the story that didn't already exist.
Right. So let me answer this for you. I know it's $4.99 to you, but I'll still answer it. He says, can we still enjoy Star Wars and Indiana Jones after he endorsed Harris? Any advice to help me forget his pathetic groveling? So, to answer the first part, can you still enjoy Star Wars and Indiana Jones despite the fact that Harrison Ford endorsed Harris? Yes! As far as any advice to help you forget his pathetic groveling, don't pay attention to it. Every Hollywood celebrity is a left-wing nutcase.
Sure.
If you really, really care about what every celebrity thinks, you should stop watching everything.
I agree.
Okay? Let it go, Alex. Let it go. They are all a bunch of leftist nuts. Every single one of them. Even the ones that are quote-unquote conservative are at best moderate leftists. So,
real quick, Darren brings up a great point. He said, I was concerned when Red Hulk debuted in the comic books because I could see Marvel doing a Green Lantern and creating a Blue Hulk, Yellow Hulk, Purple Hulk. Bro, right?
I'm expecting that too, yeah.
I feel like that's still potentially on the table. Bad ideas don't die when it comes to comic books. Someone's going to walk in and go, guys, remember Green Lantern? I got the solution. And you're like,
We're going to do it, but with Hulks.
That is so That is such a legit concern.
So like Blue Hulk, the angrier Blue Hulk gets, the wetter he gets. And so he emits water because he's
I
blue.
hate you so much. That is not a talent you want Blue She-Hulk for, trust me. Oh my goodness.
So and Yellow Hulk, you don't want to go too close to Yellow Hulk because the stuff coming out of him is not pleasant.
Yeah, they're going to be doing the Spider-Man Noir. That's the Nick Cage-led live-action one that's set in a black and whitish noir universe.
Yeah, but that's a Sony film.
No, it's not.
Spider-Man Noir?
I thought it's a show.
Oh, is it an MCU show? I thought it was.
I thought it was a. I could be. I might be way off wrong. Now I want to look.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
Spider Noir.
Okay, so Thomas, Rainbow Hulk is of course the Hulk that shoots out little LGBTQIA plus people as he gets angry. Although you can't call him he because you can't misgender Rainbow Hulk. And Mr. Know-It-All is rebooting.
Spider-Man Noir is a live-action series based on the Marvel comic character of the same name. It's the first television series in Sony's Spider-Man universe, or SSU.
So it is.
The series is produced by Sony Pictures, Amazon MGM Studios. I bet you it's going to be on Amazon. Yep, globally on Amazon Prime. It's going to be an Amazon Prime series existing in their Sony Spider-Verse. Interesting. I did not know.
It's probably going to suck.
My thing is the thing is, the character of Spider Noir was a cool character, and if they can start making stuff that's tangential, fine. Give me, what's his name, Indian Spider-Man from the animated thing. I would love to see that kid. Oh my gosh, that was brilliant. Like you do those, give me Spider-Man men series like that. I'm totally here for it. That'd be cool. I'd be down.
Yes, but Sony has so far.
No, it's live action. That's live action.
Yeah, but the Sony track record right now with their Spider-Man adjacent movies and stuff has not been very good.
But they haven't had a Spider-Man. This is going to have it's Nicolas Cage playing Spider Noir, which is just Spider-Man from another universe.
Right.
Like if they can start doing that,
Spider-Man
at least
Noir
you're
is,
getting Spider-Man. You know what I mean? If you can do that, I'm like, let's go. How hard would it be to get Andrew Garfield in a series to tell that dark story of how he stopped pulling his punches? You know what I mean?
Comment of the night.
No, are you kidding me? Ugh.
Yeah, you have Madam Web, you've got Morbius, the only thing of any decent quality they've made has really been Venom. And even Venom is borderline.
Real quick, this is the kind of contrary nonsense, Stan, that sometimes makes me want to ignore you. But no, I'm going to address this for a second. So lots of Spider-Man are okay, but lots of Hulks is bad. Okay, first off, these are Spider-Man from different universes. You want to give me a lineup of different Hulks, different Bruce Banners from other universes? Fine. This, however, has been proven to work already. And it's actually worked in the comics and the animation. And they're fully rounded, fully realized characters, not color swap change people.
Right.
That's the difference.
And I will say this thing, Craven looks like it might be good.
I know, they hate that too.
But it hasn't come out yet.
No, Sony, you don't get a good one after doing so many horrible things.
Well, and the thing about it is that even if Craven is freaking awesome, you're never going to see him fighting Tom Holland.
I know, which sucks because I'm like, that would be the best. Apparently, they're talking. There's rumors. Oh God, if they're true.
I so wanted this Venom played by Tom Hardy to fight Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
They should have absolutely at some point.
Yeah,
they should have. If they don't do it give us at least an encounter in Secret Wars, it's a missed opportunity all day.
Yeah. What were you going to say though?
Was that Mr. Know-It-All's Karen voice? Yes, that was awesome. What was I going? Oh, what was I talking about? Crap. Sorry, it's gone. ADHD. Oh yeah, the only version of Hulk that I liked in a different color was the gray Hulk, but that idea only works once. Yeah, I agree.
Well,
yeah,
Hulk was also the original color, so.
No, for real. I'm gonna make my own superhero comic. Planet X says, "Fruit fly guy, don't steal my idea." You joke. It's like I feel like tomorrow someone's gonna have my new Kickstarter, Fruit Fly Guy. You're like, what? When did Creep start a comic book? No. I feel like that's exactly.
He's got the power to be kind of annoying.
Well, no, never mind. That's me. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not. Gonna
Yep.
do that. I was gonna say something bad, and I was like, no, don't do that. So,
Yeah.
all right. Do we? We're trying to think. Were there any other trailers that really caught our attention?
Andor, the Andor trailer. We didn't talk about that one yet.
Oh, okay. So I didn't even realize. Apparently, Andor is going to be set up in chunks. Like
Yes,
the
they were originally going to do like 5 seasons of Andor, but then Andor season 1 cost so much that they're like, no, that ain't going to happen. So they're basically taking season 2, 3, 4, and 5 and making it into a single season.
Right, and they're going to do 3-episode arcs. It's going to be 12 total episodes because 4 more years have to pass between when we were where we left him and then eventually Rogue One. So the first 3 are going to be year 1. The second 3 are year 2, 4, and eventually get to 5, rather, or 4 or year 4. And so I was like, that's an interesting approach. I don't know. I feel like it might be jarring, but I don't know why it wouldn't work.
I think it can work. I think that it's, if they maintain the quality that they had for season 1.
Yeah.
If they don't shy off the budget problems that they had with season 1, and just say, okay, we'll do the extreme budget for 1 more season, then fine. But if they try to cut costs somewhere, it's going to suffer pretty badly.
Yeah.
And while I still I'm not a fan of what Andor does to the lore. We've talked about that. We don't need to argue about it right now. But it looks like it's going to be a well-produced show for sure.
Stanley asks why the rush, and then he continues with so they can invest money on more big winners like the Acolyte instead.
Oh yeah, you didn't hear about the Acolyte movie that's coming?
Oh, Joe, bro. Here's the thing: if I heard an Acolyte movie was coming out, I would be like, well, "There's another 1,700 TikTok subscribers."
Yeah,
and that's how I grew my TikToks, which is horrible to say because I refuse to be a hate guy.
Mm-hmm.
But because there was so much wrong with the show itself that when I started talking about it, I was like, people flocked. I'm like, stop it, all of you, stop it.
It's funny because it kind of goes full circle to what you were asking before. We were talking about the Penguin and his and his psychosis. Why can't we just have good guys be good and bad guys be bad?
Yeah.
I don't know, because you know what? Star Wars works best when good guys are just good and bad guys are just bad. But we've been somehow they forgot about that after Return of the Jedi and haven't been able to remember.
Agreed. No, for sure.
I'm
excited for it though. It looks like it's going to be good. We're going to get K2S K2S9 or whatever.
Yes, and Danny is voicing him again.
The Alan Tudyk robot.
Or Alan. Yeah, sorry. I thought Danny. For some reason, I thought his name was Danny Tudyk. I don't know why.
No, you're good. Alan Tudyk. He's good.
My brain went into short circuit.
Sorry, Hulk.
Hey,
Hold on. Either this is a vegetarian joke, hold it, or it's a Spanish joke. I'm trying to tell which way to appreciate it because, frankly, it works in both at both temperatures for me.
Well, it could also be a Chinese joke.
Oh, never even thought about that. I was just like, oh my God. It works on 3 levels. And I read it and I was like.
Imagine trying to say 5 times fast, soy She-Hulk.
Or like, I feel like it's like, soy Hulk sad. Or soy Hulk sad. Like, that's the 2 accents I went for. Mark Ruffalo is soy Hulk. Say no more. You immediately, by adding that subject, you immediately made me make that whole thing make sense.
And Alex trying to be the ever troll with another $2 super chat for you.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you, sir. I really do. I appreciate you. I appreciate your patriotism, and I wish you the best. Soy Hulk slap.
Guys, you going to read the comment from him?
You noticed Soy Hulk. I did. Anyway, thank you, John Wilkes Booth, for Liberty. Copy that. I got you.
So you're supposed to.
Yeah, no, my bad. I acknowledge you're good. Totally got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Creep says Soy Hulk slap because you don't get Soy Hulk punch.
No.
Soy Hulk slapped.
Well, normal Hulk smashes. Soy Hulk slaps.
Hold on. Ready, boys and girls? Normal Hulk smashes.
Yeah. You know what we mean by normal.
That's a whole whatever you drive. You drive Uber during the day. You must know that vernacular. I'm just kidding. He's like, I don't know what it means.
I ain't going there.
Oh, look who shows up. Look at this guy. There's a good one right there. I wish my dog could like be chill enough for me to bring him in here and be like, here's my dog. He's like so wild and crazy sometimes. Anyway. All right. I think we've talked enough about trailers and all the like.
Yes.
Let's get into
We got a
this.
buttload of MCU shows to talk about.
We really do have the proverbial buttload, if you will.
Yes.
So what? Okay,
That's
so
on the side, like, this is like, it's not quite a Nicki Minaj buttload. I would say it's more like a Kim Kardashian buttload.
That's fair. No, it's fair.
Yeah. Trying to be analytical here on this show.
I like it. I like
Yes.
it. It's a new look for us here.
Yes.
All right. So let's get. What's funny is when we were originally talking about doing this, I did not believe it was going to be this comprehensive. But you certainly did indeed make it comprehensive.
No, these are only things that are canon in the MCU. That's where I drew the line.
That's fair. That's fair. And I do believe, starting with the very first one, let's start at the very beginning of this ship. That's right. We're talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you have not had your Nerd Fight Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fix, well, clearly you've been at the wrong place. Because we're going to talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to talk about it right now.
Now, I don't see the little grid. Do you have a grid prepared or?
I do, but it's not here. It's on I have a whole other thing.
Oh, okay.
Want to see? I'll take you there. Real
Oh,
quick.
no, I didn't know if you saw. Oh, I see. Because do you have a background for each one of them?
I do. I have one for each one of them, and then
Wow.
and then we've got because I had some time today. Shut up.
Okay.
But I've also got this. So what I've done is I've actually set it up in the actual tier maker. So when we do it, we'll actually be able to go through and I can grab the things. We can do it real time, and it'll be fun.
Okay. Cool.
And then I will show you.
You can go back to the other screen. It was a nice looking screen. I just didn't know if you had the grid ready. I didn't see it there. So
Yeah, no, that's fine. I wanted to see we will be when the time comes. I promise.
all right.
So because as soon as we're done, that's what we're gonna do. We can go in there, we'll pop it in first, and figure out where it's gonna go. So, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay,
The show that was supposed to be.
I think
it was supposed to be from the get-go. The gimmick of it was that it was going to be tangential to It was trying to be what the MCU is trying to do now back then, but there was friction between the guy who was running creative and running the TV division and Kevin Feige, and that the TV division guy was like, I want to do whatever I want to do, and tough. So they had a bit of a falling out regarding that. But if you remember the very first like 3 episodes, Nick Fury makes a cameo. There's cameos galore. And then they even later on further toward the end of season 2, or I think it's season 2, they connected up. They clicked right up to the Captain America events of Winter Soldier. And so it's like there was all kinds of stuff. Like they wanted so badly, and then it just went on its own. It finally just said, no, we're done.
Yeah. So I personally think this show is the very definition of missed opportunity.
Sure.
I liked the concept of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
But never did I feel like this didn't feel like a Marvel show. This just felt like a police procedural with some Marvel sounding lingo in it.
Yeah, it was brighter than normal police procedurals. Like it was trying to hold that Marvel line.
Right. It was like Marvel NCIS.
Yeah, it really was. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and it is produced by the same company, CBS, that produced NCIS. So
they were like, we know how to do this. Like,
yeah. So not a fan of this show.
So once it got out from under its own weight of trying to be something and finally said, okay, screw this, we're gonna do our own thing, it actually kind of became interesting. The stories, at least, they began to feel riskier, and then that became their shtick. So the first time it happened, I was like, "Oh, this is cool. They're branching out. I get this is fun. They have their own threats." And then next thing I know, it's the same thing the next season.
Right.
It's the same thing. It became like the Flash did toward the latter seasons, which is it became one note. Even though they redressed it, it was the same notes. So I'm with you. I was not a big I was not a huge fan of this show. What is your ultimate thoughts in terms of where you think this should potentially live?
Oh man, so I'm honestly leaning towards D tier, to be honest, because it just doesn't feel like it belongs in the MCU at all.
I'll go there. I'll go there. I have no argument with you whatsoever on that.
Yeah.
I'll go D tier. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like if it was going to be, Thomas goes B, B.
Of course, Tom says B.
I would have to hear. Oh, really? I'm going to eventually learn all these shorthands. I promise. I'm going to learn all your characters from your rogues gallery. If you will.
Thomas is the Rings of Power man.
The Rings of Power, man. I love that too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So then, right after our good buddies, Agents of Shield, we have I believe it was next was was it Agent Carter?
Well, there was the one-shot Agent Carter, and then that spawned the Agent Carter series. And this is the one that I can't really comment on because I have not seen it.
Oh, really?
No, and I've
So
heard.
here's the funny part. I've only seen half of it, and again, not because it was bad. It was not bad, but other things happened. Life happened. For the same reason I haven't watched the rest of the Rings of Power. I just never got back to it, and then it became so. And because I do as a fan, because I'm there all the time, feel that timeline connectedness. So I was like, I can't go back and watch it. It's those events happened. We're moving forward, and it was just stupid. So anyway, Agent Carter's a B.
Yeah, I think Thomas is just going to say that for everything now.
I hear you. What are we ranking? We are ranking the Marvel streaming shows.
Yes.
If it is canon or canonical to the MCU, which these are. We just got finished doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was not good, and then we are now doing Agent Carter and moving forward.
Yes.
So, and neither one of us have seen this to its completion.
Yeah.
I would kind of argue that means we probably should list it as
Unseen.
Yeah, just for the sake of being honest with this thing.
Yeah.
That's my thought. I mean, do you really want to?
Well, I can't give a fair critique. If you think you can give it a grade,
I don't. I don't feel like I know it
Yeah.
enough to give it a grade.
Yeah.
I really don't. I wish I could. I really, really wish I could. I do not. So yeah, sadly. What was next on the list? Are we getting to the?
You've got the list. I gave you all the. I even numbered them for you, but I mean, technically.
Oh, here we go. Oh God. Okay. Did you watch this? Did you watch this? Because I did not.
I don't know what this is. I'm looking at. Okay, there we go. Inhumans. I watched the first episode and was like, "This is some hot garbage." I don't care that I've only seen one episode. I go straight to D tier.
I did not finish it. I was watching the first episode. It was so bad.
Yeah.
So bad to the point that I was like,
it's absolutely an embarrassment to
I'll
Marvel.
go D tier just based on what I saw. It was not good.
There is one redeeming quality about it.
What's
Black Bolt was kind of cool in Doctor Strange too.
Oh my God.
When he blew his own head off.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right. He was in there, wasn't he?
Yes.
Well, at least finally we're going to get into something good now. At least now we can get something that we can actually talk about, at least for a minute or two.
Yeah.
Which was our good buddy. Where is he? Did I not put him in here already?
I don't know who your good buddy is, so I couldn't answer you.
No, it's right here. Ta-da. Daredevil.
So the original Daredevil. This is really what. It's kind of funny because originally it was not canonical to the MCU because none of the Netflix shows were originally, but
Right.
then they've retconned them into the MCU, which is kind of interesting. And so now, like D'Onofrio's Kingpin has appeared in a couple of Marvel shows.
Yes, he has.
We've had this version of Daredevil appear in the Spider-Man film as well as the She-Hulk series.
Because he's one hell of a good lawyer.
Yeah, he is a very good lawyer. And my understanding is Daredevil Born Again will bring back the entire main cast of the show.
I feel like they're gonna bring them back just to kill them.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm like because
If they kill Foggy and Karen, I'm going to be
they
pissed.
pulled teeth to have them because fans were asking about them until like months ago. Like it was
Yeah.
ridiculous. It took them a long time before they were like, no, they're in the show. I promise. I mean, so I'm sitting here going, I feel like Feige was like, oh, we got him in the show on purpose just so that we need to give him more reason to be upset.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop it.
So, so this was a very different take. Like if you compare it to the Ben Affleck Daredevil or
Sure.
or any superhero that we've seen before. I don't think we've ever seen a superhero spend 90% of his time recovering from injuries until this show.
Well, this show at least was one of the few that actually has like built-in medical help because if you know anything about the lore, the night nurses, which one of them is played by Rosario Dawson, and I guess
Right.
they have another character who eventually is another night nurse who was in another show, and it's like you're like, okay, that was kind of cool. That because that's real. That's from the comics.
Right.
There's a nurse who helps superheroes from the street get like recover quickly,
Right.
because she can keep quiet. Because where else are you going to go if you're injured? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They downplayed Daredevil's superhuman abilities a bit. And just basically, but I liked it in a good way. They made him feel more real in that, okay, yes, he has heightened senses as opposed to radar vision. You know, they made it out to where, no, he just has really, really heightened senses. And I really dug this version of Daredevil. I can't wait till Born Again comes out. I mean, that's probably my most anticipated show of 2025 is Born Again.
I feel like the main guy, the guy who plays Daredevil, he does such an amazing job not being Captain America.
Yes.
He's not bulky. He's very lean. But
Although,
he's
funny thing is,
quick.
same stuntman, though.
Yes. That's funny.
And so, and in fact, if you look carefully, you can see they have some of the same moves, particularly the spin 360 in the air and then land in the superhero pose.
Who doesn't love that? Come on, man. That's the move, man.
Yeah. So I absolutely love the fact that this character is coming back. I really enjoyed the old show. I think that was it perfect? No, but dang, it's S tier all the way.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with you on that. I do believe that. I believe it's absolutely S tier. I feel like it's one of those shows that when history looks back, that's the reason why this show got why they spent the time, didn't touch it, and let all the stuff with Netflix expire.
Yeah.
So they could ultimately come back to it. Now, I don't think they meant to go as far as they're going now, but I think that it's a good decision.
Yeah.
This is a very good decision, and this is actually going to propel a lot of the streaming stuff, I think, to newer heights
Yes.
than their normal MCU stuff was garnering.
Thomas, if you have not watched Daredevil, if you have Disney Plus, it is on Disney Plus now, and so I highly recommend it.
Oh, super! Yeah, no, definitely recommend for sure. That's an absolute recommend.
Yeah.
What did you? So then, okay. So staying in the same kind of neighborhood and universe. Interestingly enough, the decision that they make in the Netflix ones was they went with Jessica Jones as their next character.
Yeah.
And the reason I liked the Jessica Jones choice was if you're familiar with Marvel's Black Label or I think
Right. It was
Marvel,
meant to be a darker.
right. That's where Jessica Jones comes from.
Right. I actually have Jessica Jones #1.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right on. I love the callback to her goofy costume in last season, season 2 of Jessica Jones, when her friends they show her trying on outfits.
I wish they had done something more along the lines of the plot of the original comic book arc, where Jessica Jones, who is a PI, she spies on people for a living, but she accidentally discovers Captain America's secret identity, and then people are trying to, get that information from her because she snaps pictures of Steve Rogers in a hotel with a young lady, and then Steve Rogers, instead of coming out the front door, goes up to the roof as Captain America and takes off. So I think
That's what happens.
the problem was that in the MCU, none of the mainstream heroes have a secret identity.
Right.
And so everybody knows Steve Rogers is Captain America. And so the only one in the MCU that has a secret identity right now is Spider-Man.
It's
So,
true. It's very true. Which I find funny because you're right. They do. It's like they do. Well, that gets into the nature of how they do a lot of their storytelling. But because obviously, like Civil War is where Spider-Man reveals his identity in the comics, but
right.
that was where he was introduced here. So it's I get it.
Yeah. But now, I think the actress who played Jessica Jones was good. I loved the Purple Man.
Purple Man was excellent, and that was David Tennant, by the way. That was
David Tennant, of Doctor Who fame, as the Purple Man was insanely, disturbingly sociopathic.
Yeah.
Where he had no empathy for people whatsoever, no respect for life whatsoever. And I mean, he would just be like, oh, you annoy me, go kill yourself. And because of his power, anything he tells you to do, you will do. You can't resist him.
Yeah.
And so but the fact that he would just tell people to walk off a ledge or, shoot themselves in the head or whatever, just very casually.
Yeah.
And they really pulled that off well. And so, not a big fan of how the series ended as far as, I thought that it was a little anticlimactic as far as the final confrontation between Jessica and the Purple Man. But overall, I really, really dug the show. I would give it an A tier.
Right on. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that the when they got into doing it, I thought that the show itself was wanting to be several things, but then ultimately what it turned out to be, I was here for. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, because I wasn't going to watch it originally, not because it was like a girl hero, but because I was like, what? I hated that run of comics, not because of stories, but because it felt so. I was a snob at the time. I was like, why is Marvel getting in the mud? Why do they have to be like, all these other Dark Horse and other people? Why can't they just be Marvel? But I didn't appreciate those stories. But then Jessica Jones, the show on Netflix, really opened my eyes to the story that was there, and I had no clue that the Purple Man was this bad until I saw the show, and then I went back and read some of the old stuff, and was like, wow, it's amazing.
And I have to say, like, for people that think that I'm kind of prudish because I say, I want the good guys to be good and the bad guys to be bad and all that, I think there's a place for the muddy waters, the street level heroes, but I think that the tentpole heroes should not be that. Like, I don't want to see a Captain America movie that feels like a Jessica Jones episode.
That's fair.
I
think it's fair. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. All right. So what's next on our list of lists?
Luke Cage.
Power Man.
Man, tell you what, when I didn't know what to expect because I was a long time Luke Cage fan, and I always thought he was corny as can be in the comics. One of the reasons why I love the outfit, this is when Netflix was still doing that homage to the old superhero stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point he's actually wears I'm not wearing this. It's like the puffy disco yellow with the it's great. But I did love their approach. I thought the approach was great. I thought they took too many opportunities to. At the time, there was a lot of gun violence stuff that was happening on whatnot, and I don't know that I needed. I guess the show had to be a commentary because of where it takes place and everything else. But I felt like at the time it felt ham-fisted to me. And especially when we just were getting out of all that stuff in the world to do it, like he was wearing the hoodie and it was so you ended up getting that one visual toward the middle of season 1 where he's got the hoodie with all the bullet holes in it, and it was like, really, like, is that I mean, I get it, but whatever.
Well, I think Mike Coulter absolutely knocked it out of the park as Luke Cage.
100%. Him, he's doing an amazing job.
Loved him.
This introduced me to him. He was amazing.
Right. And now we notice Theo Rossi has abandoned the MCU and is now part of the DCEU because he was Shades in Luke Cage, but then he comes over to the Penguin, so, where he's working over at Arkham.
No kidding. I love seeing him in that. When I found out he was in that, I was like, wow, that's amazing.
But I really, really, I didn't think I would like this show because the show, especially if you look at it superficially and everything, this is the Black Show.
It has shades of being a Marvel version of a blaxploitation series.
Right, because almost the entire cast is black. It takes place in Harlem, and that's always been a part of Luke Cage's origin. And I'm not saying that they weren't being true to the source material, but he never wore a yellow shirt yet.
Creep, he actually did in the very beginning of season 2.
Yeah.
Beginning of season 2, they show flashbacks, and one of the outfits that someone tried to put him in was an old, like a Halloween-y costume.
Yeah.
And it was yellow, puffy shirt, and I loved it. So, yeah, he did as a joke, but he did.
Yeah, but if you pay attention to it, it's
Harlem Nights on steroids.
It kind of is. The show is a much deeper commentary, and a really good one. So I really, really do like the show. I like the fact that Luke Cage is essentially a non-violent man who's in a position where he can commit acts of violence with impunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of weird.
I didn't like how it ended, mainly because I know how that story should have continued on.
Which part? Wait,
he ends taking over the crime family, taking over crime in Harlem.
Oh yeah.
He becomes the new boss of this area. And
I'm not a big fan of that either. I'm hoping they retcon that out in the MCU.
In the comics, he does it in order to, because he thinks it's the only way he can try to bring control, and eventually it leads him down the road of getting into Heroes for Hire, which is what he does with Danny, right. And ultimately that's where I would have loved to have seen them either stop the show there and continue the storyline in Heroes for Hire, which would have gotten rid of Iron Fist and Luke Cage, and you would have had one show. And then would have been less. I mean, there's worlds in which you morph, because that's Heroes for Hire. That's where those two characters are the best. Those two characters are Batman and Robin. They are night and day. They are partners. They're right. Blue Beetle and Buster Gold. It's always Iron Fist and Luke Cage, the Danny Ketch version of Iron Fist. And I'm like, that's such a great combo that I wish we would have gotten more of.
Yeah, and well, we'll talk about Iron Fist, but the Luke Cage,
it's coming.
Yeah, but yeah, the Michael Coulter Luke Cage, absolutely, I could see doing Heroes for Hire with. And the thing is that okay, the MCU is bringing back some of these Netflix characters. They could still do Heroes for Hire.
Absolutely could. Absolutely they could.
And of course, they could either recast Iron Fist, or at least get him a decent trainer, which Netflix apparently couldn't do.
No, for real. Yeah. So where do you think this belongs? I think it's right up there with Jessica Jones. I think it's A tier.
I'm torn just between A and S, but if you're thinking A, I'll go A. But I think that this is probably my second favorite of the Netflix shows.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah. I'll go with that. I think Daredevil and I liked Mrs. Know-It-All got into Jessica Jones before she was ever really into comic and nerdy stuff, but just on the merits of its storyline. So she made me appreciate it more. But you're right. I think for me it's Daredevil, then then the Luke Cage, and then poor Iron Fist season 1 is straight trash. Iron Fist season 2 they at least tried to put a story back into, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
But I these were such a unique piece of history and time.
Right.
Seriously, they really were, because it was like they wanted to be so much more, but at the same time, everyone loved them for exactly what they were. Like nobody was like, be more, be this, be the other. Like everybody was pretty happy with what they were doing. At least I was.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Up until when Iron Fist came out, anyway.
So Iron Fist, let's talk about that. Season 1 for me is straight garbage. Regardless of because they're all this. Oh, by the way, everybody at the time was shouting cultural appropriation, and I'm like, screw you, people. Do you even know that like the origin of the character? Like
Yeah.
it was never. It was designed to be. It was designed by Stan Lee, who and other. That was the guy who invented Black Panther. Yeah, he was working with these folks too. So shut up.
Yeah.
It was now, mind you, you can't get around the fact that he had a villain at the time who was named Fing Fang Foom. That was just a very unfortunate a series of names, of naming conventions at the time. But and especially because all of its cultural relevance basically came from kung fu movies. Not even the original versions, but like the Americanized translated versions. So
See,
its
I think
origin was already troubled.
what I'm worried about but then let's not forget that while Marvel did have Iron Fist in the comic books, they also had the greatest martial arts on the planet was Shang-Chi, master
Yes.
of Kung Fu.
Yes.
So, so while Iron Fist was a significant martial arts presence, he was not considered the greatest martial artist.
No, that was Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi trained everybody.
Right.
Seriously, Shang-Chi trained Captain
And the
America.
Iron Fist also has superpowers. Shang-Chi does not. So
Oh, good point.
you know, uh, but anyway, so yeah, Iron Fist.
It's not good.
It's not. I mean, I hate to do it, but I have to say, this is just straight D tier. It's the fighting is so boring. And that's what kills it more than anything else. You have a character who's billed as being this martial arts master, and I'm 56 years old and have MS, and I could probably be more convincing as a martial artist than him.
You know why, right? I mean, do you remember why? Have you heard why?
Why did that suck? If you know, I don't.
Okay. Right. So at the time, the way that Netflix was doing the shows, they had a very limited time and they had very specific things they had to hit. And so at the time they were filming, they chose to try to adopt a Marvel-esque way of filming. So they were shooting several things at once. And literally, while they were doing the show, while they were doing Iron Fist, they were also doing the Defenders. So they needed to throw everything at the Defenders, which was their Avengers. It was
Right.
bringing the three Netflix shows together, but they were at the same time filming Iron Fist, and there wasn't enough money to go around. So they literally, they apparently like the producers had gone to Netflix and were like, "Look, we need more money for this, this, and this," and Netflix was like, "No," and so they were forced to make do. They were literally on the day of, guys would run over from the Defenders thing and be like, "What are we doing? Okay, do this, do this, do this, and this. It'll look great. We can edit some things together. Okay, and I'll be back later. Bye." And he would run out. Like that's the most they got from a stunt coordinator during Iron Fist. It was a major disservice that hurt the entire show because you lost credibility. It looked bad, and that made everything else feel. Because the truth is, the story is not that bad, but because it's weighted down by all these bad things,
Right.
that's difficult. What are you gonna do?
Well, you're gonna talk all about Alex Bogey's latest $1.99 he gave you.
I am so sorry that I love liberty to a fault. I hear you, brother. There are many things I am sorry for as well. I don't know that living liberty is one of them, but I do appreciate you nonetheless, and thank you for your $1.99. What?
Nothing. I just
It was like store brand vanilla ice cream. Planet X says. I assume we're talking still about Iron Fist.
I would agree. That's the best way to describe that show. Store. Well, no, it's specifically Walmart brand vanilla.
Yeah, great value. Yeah, it's that great value.
Like you go to Kroger, their generic vanilla ice cream's not bad.
No, it's equivalent to like Bluebell. It's something,
Yeah, but you
go to
go
Walmart.
you're getting the ice cream that came from the semi-deformed cows.
It's literally like just French vanilla creamer with ice mixed in it. It's terrible. Okay, it's just bad.
No, it's you know what it is? It's that powdered non-dairy coffee creamer with ice ground up in
Oh, legit. That's legit.
Yeah.
Right there. Oh my god! Not even ice cream. This is frozen milk product.
Yes.
Or as they say in some parts of the South, ice dream.
No,
Like, stop trying to sell me that nonsense, okay?
It's frozen milk in quotation marks product.
That's awesome.
Yes. You know, milk is the brand name. It's not saying that it's actually milk.
No, legit. My eye is so freaking irritated right now.
Well, that's because you were thinking about Iron Fist.
No, literally, my eyes want to stab my eyes out from having looked at it too much. Let me see. Go to. All right. So the next thing after this was, I want to say we got into. Yeah, it was. What's funny is on the timeline of events, it comes. It feels like it should come after, but it doesn't. It comes before, and that's we got into the Defenders, which I thought was crazy.
So the Defenders, man, I liked the Defenders, but it was, it was drugged down by the presence of Iron Fist, to be honest.
I hate you so much.
Because Iron Fist,
He wasn't that bad.
no, but that's the problem was though is that Iron Fist left such a bad taste in your mouth that when you see him going, "Hey guys, can I be part of the team too?" It's like no, it's like Wesley Crusher, right? Like Wesley Crusher has done some good things in Star Trek, but every time he shows his face, you want to puke because it's Wesley Crusher.
That's so sad.
It's sad because it's true.
Of course, but still, it's sad the way you put it.
Yeah.
Rough, man.
So unfortunately, Iron Fist is the Wesley Crusher of the MCU. And please, Marvel, because we know Kevin Feige watches the show. Kev, buddy, listen to me. If you recast Iron Fist, I'm totally fine with that, but do not cast an Asian in the part. Because then you're just going to be accused of pandering by everybody. So don't do it.
Yes, the Defenders was street level Avengers. It was these characters all coming together to fight one common thing.
Yes, and it was well done overall.
Yeah, I thought so.
I just like I said, I every time Wesley Crusher showed up on screen, I was going, oh yeah, it's him.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, so what are you thinking?
I think the Defenders I would put solidly in the B tier. Well, it looks like you already put it there.
Cool. Okay, I was going to say, I was willing to have a conversation if you wanted to go, but I thought I liked what they did, and clearly all the stunt guys went there because that show did great.
Yeah.
It had its own version of the hallway fight, but it was all of them.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. So.
And Alex says, when do you guys tend to watch sci-fi? I tend to watch kid stuff to help my son chill out when I get home. We don't have little kids.
No, my daughter's in college now.
Yeah.
But her and I do watch kid stuff. We watch Lower Decks, which, by the way, tomorrow morning we'll have a review dropping for Lower Decks, and then we'll be talking about it here on NerdFights on Saturday. Remember Saturday, along with Open Mic.
Yeah, my kids are 24 and 29, so yeah.
My kid's 18.
Yeah. All right, so moving on.
To answer real quick his question about the
Well, that's why he was just saying how he didn't feel like the Defenders should be next, because next up is.
Yeah, definitely. It was your boy. It was Frank Castle, man. It was the Punisher.
Yes.
And I think he cameoed in season 2 of Daredevil,
yes,
but he didn't get his own show till after.
Yeah, he was put on trial in Daredevil season 2, and Matt Murdock was his defense attorney. Basically, which, by the way, I like the fact that Daredevil was like part superhero show, part courtroom drama.
Because they at least, unlike some other courtroom dramas that were supposed to exist, they at least remembered the courtroom drama part.
Right. And the thing is that, and like some people are like, well, they only did one case for the entire season. It's like, you don't know anything about legal proceedings if you think that they go as fast as they do on Law & Order.
No, literally. Not to mention, Law & Order's never like, tomorrow we're doing all these cases. That's stuff that happens over time.
Right.
So,
like, typically, like, even just the time from you getting, you get busted by the cops, and then like you get your arraignment, and all the arraignment is the judge determining whether they had probable cause to accuse you of a crime, and then they set up your initial hearing where you can plead guilty or not guilty, and then it goes to trial if you plead not guilty. So yeah.
Like everyone to remember, you are not in any way, shape, or form supposed to consider anything we say legal advice.
No, well, I didn't give any advice.
Right. It is not.
I just said that's the general, but that whole procedure takes months and sometimes years in complicated cases, and so but in Law and Order, no, they were arrested last night and tomorrow they're going to trial. It's like
makes sense.
Yeah. But anyway, so I like the fact that like the Frank Castle case was not over in one episode.
Agreed.
But anyway, so what's his name? Blumenthal? Is that his name?
John Bernthal.
Bernthal. Okay, love him as Punisher.
He is returning.
Yes. And his Punisher definitely feels right in that Punisher is not super sharp. He's not the uber genius. He's nobody's Reed Richards or any of that. He's just very talented ex-special forces.
Agreed.
And he got pissed off and decided that he's taken down the criminal underworld. And since he's got all this great experience with weapons and stuff, he's going to do it. Yeah. And so, I really liked his take on Punisher because as much as I like the Thomas Jane film,
sure,
but I think his Punisher is too smart.
Sure,
I like the fact that here we have a Punisher that isn't that smart.
But when it comes to the gun, when it comes to his stuff,
he's got his wheelhouse, and his wheelhouse ain't gonna be, writing novels and talking about philosophy, So I did really like this show. I think Punisher definitely belongs in the A tier.
I would make an argument for S. I would, because this holds the torch that Daredevil starts. Whereas the other ones dipped a little bit and kind of wavered. I feel like this was an even handoff. This universe felt very connected to everything in terms of the level of what they were doing. Mm-hmm. I would make that argument. If you don't want, I'm down. I'm totally down for not putting it. You want to go A tier?
No, I can see S tier. I'll be convinced. I'm not.
I'm not unreasonable.
Yes. We got to have, because let's be real, there's not going to be much coming into S tier from the MCU originals. So, I mean, just being honest, spoiler alert, Loki will, but I don't think that too much else will.
All right, so let's shift over into those finally, starting with WandaVision.
So WandaVision, the show that kicked off the Disney Plus MCU.
Yeah.
Which I think it was a good start. I think it was an interesting, because they did something different that they couldn't really pull off in a movie. It was interesting, especially once you started getting into the intrigue of, wait a minute, what's really going on here? It's not it's not just a series of sitcoms. Because I remember a lot of people when the show first started just thought that, okay, so this is just some farce where they're going to do a different sitcom every week. They didn't realize there was actually something in universe that was happening.
Fair.
So I did really dig this show overall, and I think it introduces us, of course, to the real Captain Marvel, although they call her Photon, whatever, and Agatha. And of course, Billy is introduced in this, but he's fake Billy. Because remember, Billy and Tommy don't really exist, unlike everybody else in Westview.
Correct. Well, neither does Vision, but yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So she creates them with just sustaining them with her own power.
True.
Which begs the question, why did they have to go away?
They were built into the fundamental makeup of the hex.
But couldn't she recreate them?
They were potentially, but it would have been like it wouldn't they wouldn't have been the same them, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, if she was okay with invading other universes, in order to get another copy of them, she should be okay with recreating a different copy of them.
Hey man, I'm with you. You're preaching to the choir. Make them up. Okay, I feel like Thanos could have made more resources. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, what do we like? I'm with you.
We're not here to argue about Thanos, but
I know.
Thanos did nothing wrong. We know.
That's awesome.
No,
Thanos was right.
Yeah.
Only thing he did wrong was stopping at one half.
My biggest problem with this show, honestly, is that I think they stumbled a little bit in the finale, in that, like when Photon was talking to Wanda at the very end and kind of like, oh, they don't know what you've lost. And it's like, she's been mind controlling the entire town for an extended period of time. And we find out that everybody in that town is in agonizing pain because of it. Yeah. And what did she lose? She lost her make-believe kids and her make-believe reincarnated husband.
Boyfriend.
Yeah. So, is it true that she had a significant loss when Vision died at the hands of Thanos? Yes. But that is not, you can't compare that loss with her holding an entire city hostage. So, I think that's where a lot of people got angry about that, and I think rightly so. So, I think they stumbled on the landing. And that's really why I would go A tier at the most. I couldn't go to S tier because they did not stick the landing.
I'm actually really happy that you did that. I was willing to give in and make it B if you were thinking something else. But because here's the thing, I liked Agatha better than Wanda. Which means for me, if Agatha were to come, I don't even think we have Agatha on this list because we just got finished reviewing it, so I understand why. But because it technically counts, it should go. I would put Agatha at S potentially, or if I wanted an A, we would put because it's higher than Wanda for me. It just is. Agatha scratched more itches for me than Wanda did. Wanda gave me, I'll be honest, Wanda felt very connected to the MCU. Like a lot of these early ones did. WandaVision, Hawkeye, a lot of these that we're going to talk about, they did feel initially connected. Then everything went off the rails. And so by off the rails, I just mean then it was things that were not connected at all. And we're like, oh, okay, we put that issue down. We're looking at a different title. Got it. I'm with you. And it was trying to keep up. So I feel like WandaVision had big ideas, and I was actually more engrossed with the first 3 episodes than with the rest of the series. The rest of the series is fine, and I enjoy the hell out of it. And you're right, I feel like the ending was a bit of a cop-out. The ending felt like the writers had written themselves into a box and didn't know how to get out of it.
Right.
And so what did they do? It's which on which. The same thing Marvel had up to this point been known for, which was the villain will mirror the hero. Iron Man fights another Iron Man. Hulk fights another monster. This, everybody has a thing that they're competing against that is very basically them again. And so in this one, it's Agatha. And obviously, it's supposed to be this.
Vision fights a clone of himself. So.
Literally, which I thought was great because they have the.
Although Paul Bettany did definitely sell that, so I will. Yeah,
really
when they started talking about the ship of Theseus.
Yes, I was going to say the ship of Theseus.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
No, absolutely. But yeah, so all right.
Well, I would go B tier then. I mean, because Agatha, I can't see going higher than A when we get there.
Okay, that's fair. See, then to me, I gotta bump Wanda down for that very reason.
Right. So I'm fine with putting WandaVision on the B tier. I think that it would have been bolder and quite frankly better if they had finished the series with Wanda being an escaping villain rather than a misunderstood hero.
Well, especially because when you get into, I feel like when you
go to Doctor Strange, where she is the villain.
it feels so. And then there are a lot of people out there who are like, "Oh, well, no, you just weren't paying attention." Look. It felt jarring to me that any lesson she learned about not being covered with her power and this and that, blah blah blah, was suddenly gone, and she
Right.
was and she had destroyed acres of land using harnessing evil. Like that, like, whoa, where did you go from zero to insane woman? And obviously the answer is when her kids were quote unquote taken away. But at the, it's like, but I'm
Right,
with
and
you.
so, like, if we had seen her snap, and like, if honestly, and I wish they didn't have the balls to do it, but they should have. Agatha should have been the hero. Agatha
Wow.
should. At the end, when the two of them fight at the end, it could be Agatha, because Agatha made the point that she was enslaving these people. And so you could have made the idea that Agatha was, in fact, trying to do the right thing, where Wanda was being so selfish that she didn't care about the lives of others. But then they, like I said, the very last second, they were just like, "Oh no, she's actually good. She was."
I don't know if she's actually good, but I hear you.
Yeah, she's just upset because, golly gee, she lost her pretend kids. And anybody that's ever pretended to have kids would know that if you lose your pretend kids,
Yes, Planet
you're going to go a little crazy.
Absolutely a Marvel show, and it is absolutely on this list. We're just doing them in the order in which they released.
Yes.
So stick around. We're absolutely going to talk about your show, I promise.
Yeah. Was Echo Planet X's favorite show?
No, this is the second time he's asked about it.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure you knew it's coming.
Yes. All right. So, what's next?
All right, next up, it's going to be the Winter Soldier.
Which, of course, in the end of the series, it's called Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
They do have the title change at the very end.
They do, because Sam is our Captain America.
Or, as I like to call this show, WandaVision 2.0.
Really? Why do you think?
Because I liked the show overall, but it had a couple of problems, and then they screwed up the ending. So number one, they tried to make the Flag Smash. How do you have a group called the Flag Smashers and you try to make them sympathetic? That was dumb. That was
They borrowed a name from a terrorist organization in the comics that they shouldn't have borrowed.
Right, but the problem is that these people literally blew up a building with people in it.
Yes.
And we're supposed to be sympathetic. No, these are bad people. And then at the end where there's like, well, these terrorists, you shouldn't call them terrorists, Senator. Yes, he should. They blew up a building with people in it. They are terrorists.
By their definition, yeah.
Yeah, and so, and then as his speech about you got to do better. Okay, yeah, but the problem is, and I saw someone on, I can't remember what channel it was. It might have been Warp Zone or one of those sketch comedy channels that did a little thing where they have Falcon there going, you got to do better, Senator. And so the senator's like, really? Okay, great. Let me get my notebook out. What should I do? Because what was he supposed to do with all the people that just blipped back into existence and now the borders are all screwed up and the population's all messed up? Okay, tell us how to fix it. Go ahead, Falcon. Tell us how to do better. And so just saying you got to do better is not an argument. That's just, an assertion. Now, that being said...
So, can I respond?
Yes.
Okay. First and foremost, I need you to understand, I agree with the sentiment and what you're espousing. However, from a storytelling standpoint, as a writer, they did begin by explaining, well, we've got to do this and this, and there are actual machinations politically. Mm-hmm. And the way that the story is written, what they're mentioning and what they're articulating sounds hollow and two-dimensional in the moment. Is it? No. I think sane, reasonable, rational people sit here and listen and go, oh yeah, no, those are things that need to be considered. But at the same time, this is a moment of passion and a moment of emotion.
Sure.
This is not a moment of logic. You're 1,000% correct. But I'm with, so I think in this moment, he needed to be Sam the symbol trying to be Captain America.
Right.
So he needed to be the symbol saying the world needed to see Black Captain America saying y'all do better in order for this moment to go smoothly. That's what was needed in that moment. It's a political move.
But I think that the way that the scene was constructed was not well done.
I agree. It almost sounded like he was dressing them down, which is what he's doing, but not for the intent that I think. Like, because I agree with you. Any logical person, even Captain America, should be able to go, yeah, no, this is all bigger issue stuff.
Yeah.
But in that moment, he was playing up to the camera. I believe he was playing up to the cameras and trying to really assert and establish himself as Captain America.
Right.
So it was very.
And if that was all, yeah. I think that the problem with the do better speech is honestly it was just too long.
Super long.
Yeah, if the speech was 30 seconds of him saying, look, the reason, instead of saying don't call them terrorists, instead if he said, hey, the reason they became terrorists is because you weren't listening to them, and you, Senator, need to.
No, they became terrorists because they committed terrorist acts.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if you say I'm trying to shorten, condense down what Sam says.
No, I got you.
So if he says something to the effect of the reason they did what they did is because you weren't listening to them, and so you need to do better. If that was the entirety of the speech, I would have been like, yeah. But instead, he goes on for several minutes, and just, I'm like, okay, is he done yet? Now, all that being said, I loved the personal side of the story. I loved the story of Sam and his family and the fishing boat and Isaiah and all that stuff, and Sam not wanting the shield but knowing he should have the shield. All that stuff I really, really dug. And I like Bucky's journey as well. Although I wish they'd spent a little more time on it than they did. They kind of
they even tried through this like speed therapy thing with this in order to clear him. I felt like that was their version of trying to say clearly there's work, clearly there's stuff to do, clearly they're not going to get through it all, but we want to let you guys know he's really trying. Now we're back to the main story.
Yeah.
Like, you notice how fast they rushed the therapist thing gone
Yeah,
now?
and we needed a little bit more balance of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Super contrived.
Yeah. So, however, like I said, there are elements of the story that I really, really liked, but I don't think they stuck the landing. I think that a lot of people were just like turned off by the speech and by the way that it ended. I thought the Flag Smashers were a little confusing. Are they a ruthless terrorist organization, or are they a group of oppressed freedom fighters?
Freedom fighters who self-injected themselves to make themselves have power.
Yeah.
And authoritarian.
And so it's like, so with that, I would basically put this in the B tier. I enjoyed it, but it was not great. And I know you're probably talking to Mrs. Know-It-All or something.
Well, I'm talking to you. I said, what's up?
Oh, you were muted.
I was talking to her.
Yeah.
So where do you think it lives on the rankings?
I said B tier.
B tier. Here we go. Sorry. I was trying to do a couple things at once.
Creep says, what did Alex think? I think Alex has abandoned us because we're not willing to talk about John Wilkes Booth. But
I may have said crazy ideas, but sometimes people just want to be heard. You know what I'm saying? And if you're gonna throw money, a couple shekels my way, I will gladly listen. I'm okay with being Lucy putting the nickel and dime I'm out open sign.
I love those nickels. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. You have no idea. Like, my throat has been dry this whole time. Like, my voice has been cracking and going away. I'm like, oh my God. So I sent up an SOS, and I'm like, can you please bring me a drink? So that was Mrs. Know-It-All trying her best to save my life.
Okay.
But you can't stop the train. You can't stop the train, because next up was, of course, Loki.
Did you agree with me on the B tier, or did you didn't really say anything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I put it there.
All right. Yeah, but you didn't say if you agreed or not. You just put it.
No, it's fine, because I could, like you said, I feel like it wasn't. It did its job passably. It wasn't stellar. It certainly, I do believe it was right up there with WandaVision in terms of the beginning stuff was
Oh
consistent.
man, that first opening action sequence with the helicopters.
Straight out, I was like, "Oh, this is where the budget went."
Yeah, that was awesome.
That
All
was such a
right.
wonderful moment. It reminded me of the Independence Day stuff when they're flying through the ravines and
Yeah.
valleys going after the aliens, and I'm like, these guys, and the way he's flying, like the way I loved how they incorporated his like physical movement. So like if he's dodging, his wings fold in, and he like flips over a thing, and
Oh
then they
yeah, I
come
love
back out.
the way they've used the Falcon wings in the MCU so far. I've really liked. That's one of the reasons I'm really looking forward to Brave New World.
I agree. I
You
agree.
know,
So I get to
so
see some cool stuff, especially with him doing all that.
all right, so Loki. Holy crap! If you had something higher than an S tier, Loki would go there for me.
No, I have
I
to
mean,
agree.
there's just no. I mean, it's unfortunate what happened as far as the actor, but you know they introduced us to Kang. They introduced us to the TVA. They really this was the introduction of the multiverse proper,
True.
and just wow, they did it. They nailed it. And the amazing thing is that when they brought in season 2, and I was like, oh, what are they going to do now? And they actually ended up having a really compelling season 2, which I was not expecting. And so,
Boy howdy,
yeah,
talk about dude that season. It did such cool things. I got to sit on it for 2 seconds. For my favorite part was literally when Loki begins really understanding what he can do, and starts diving deep into it, and
where
like
he spent like
eventually
hundreds of years learning how to do everything,
he's
and
talking to dude Kang, and Kang's like, all right, well, I guess you can go this and that. And he goes, yeah, but I've already been here and had this conversation before too. And he's like, wait, what? And just seeing the realization to Kang that somebody else was playing a similar game I was like, okay. Especially because if anybody could, why wouldn't it be an Asgardian? Quote unquote, this god species, you know?
yeah. Well, and I
Uh,
love the fact that it's like, he's like, okay, what do we do? He goes, well, unless you understand quantum physics, there's nothing you can do. Hold on. Time travel back. Okay, teach me about quantum physics. You know, and it's
For
like,
real.
okay, this is awesome. That's how you use time travel.
Agreed.
Is
Because
that
that's really the only thing you could possibly do with it.
yeah? So the S tier 100%.
See my life.
And if you say otherwise, you will no longer be a co-host.
Is that right? Dang. No, absolutely. 100%. I agree. And it's funny. Everyone's complaining. It's like, it's not nerd fights if you both agree with each other. I know. Good stuff is good stuff. Trust me. Disagreements are on their way. I guarantee it. Because I have a feeling we don't agree on everything that's coming up. But yeah, man, it was a good. I enjoyed it for what it was. I
Yeah,
thought that I was really hoping that they were introducing big ideas, and then season 2 they totally did. They
yeah,
paid off. I will say season 2 benefited from some of the things that we thought were bad movies. For instance, season 2 benefited from Ant-Man Quantumania.
yeah,
Because now I understood more about who Richard the Timely was and all this other stuff. You begin to understand the more of the elements that make everything be what it is. And so when you suddenly see, oh, this is where this character comes from, and especially when Kang at the end of time is talking very referentially about all this stuff,
yeah.
and it's like, oh man, because you don't know who is who. Is this Kang the one from the and that I think this was the fundamental problem people were going to have with potentially a Kang and villain thing, was that time travel can both be a cop out and it can be a really good story beat. And we just got finished using it for Endgame, and for it to suddenly become part of the focus of the next phase felt like, oh, we're going back to this well this soon, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Mind you, I loved a lot of the TVA stuff, the alternate pocket dimensions. I loved those things. And so it was, yeah, it was.
Well, it's through the TVA that we've now canonized the Fox movies.
That's true. You're absolutely correct.
And you know, so Deadpool and Wolverine coming soon. So I'm really curious to see what they're going to do moving forward. As far as, are they going to bring some of these Fox characters over? Are we going to see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Deadpool in like Deadpool's Secret Wars or something. I don't know, but I'm really looking forward to. By the way, did you watch the documentary on Disney Plus about the making of Deadpool and Wolverine?
No. When did that drop?
I don't know, but it's like an hour-long documentary. It's in there. It's one of the assembled shows.
Yeah. I
And
haven't watched that. That thing was
it's really good. But one of the things Ryan Reynolds talks about some of the story ideas that he pitched before they pitched Deadpool. And Wolverine.
Really?
Yes. My absolute favorite was they pitched a story idea called like Deadpool's Extreme Outtakes. And the entire movie was Deadpool basically would be narrating the movie, telling you about how he's been a part of the MCU all along, and here are all the deleted scenes from the movies that he was in. And so then they were going to recreate scenes from every Marvel movie and put Deadpool in them.
That'd been awesome. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
That would have been so great. That would have been epic.
So anyway.
It makes you think of perhaps what if they had.
Yes, what if? So what if?
How about that smooch? How about that segue, bro?
That was wonderful. Just wonderful.
S-tier segue.
Yeah, S-tier segue.
What If, man? What If was a series that it took the concept from the comics, it's funny. I feel like the show has actually gone the same route as the comics, which is you work yourself into a box very quickly because your premise is essentially every issue or every episode is supposed to be a what if scenario. The Watcher watches because that's all the Watchers can do. Uatu the Watcher, he's part of a species that they were either in another dimension or something along those lines and watched their universe. They interfered and their universe died. So
Well,
they
the Walker
shunted
lived on
over.
the moon, specifically in the blue area.
Yeah, so they shunted over to ours, and they have sworn never ever to interfere again
Right.
whatsoever. And so
Even though they
only
do from
watch.
time to time.
Even though all the time they picked the worst one to be our watcher then because he's just breaking the rules everywhere.
Well, I do like for example, like he knows Reed Richards, and and he kind of just accidentally saves the Earth from Galactus, stuff like that. But the did you ever read that? That was the one
Of
with
course.
with the ultimate.
Oh my God.
Huh?
I've read them. I've read tons of them.
Yeah.
I've read the first 2 volumes because when they first were coming out, and then later on they tried to reboot it. I think now they're currently rebooting it.
Uatu in the Fantastic Four comic book.
Oh no! I know he's popped in a few places though,
Right,
where
but
it's not a what if scenario. That's why when he showed up in the X-Men '97, I was like, oh, it's about to go down.
Yeah.
Because if it's not a what if and he shows up,
if you see Uatu, it means something major is about to happen.
for real, because he wants to watch it.
Yes, and he wants to watch.
That big
So
giant
watchers are
bald-headed
kind of perverted.
Bro.
But yeah, real quick, I think it was, I'm trying to remember if Darren were here, you correct me, of course, but it was, I believe, Galactus's second appearance on Earth. And, or it might have been the first one, but it's first or second, one of the two.
Right.
But the only weapon that can possibly kill Galactus is something called the Ultimate Nullifier.
Right.
And if you're shot with the Ultimate Nullifier, you are removed from existence completely, past, present, and future.
Yeah, it's like you never existed.
Right. And so basically but Galactus keeps the Ultimate Nullifier on his ship so that nobody else can get it. So Reed threatens Galactus with the Ultimate Nullifier, and Galactus says, that certainly looks like the Ultimate Nullifier. But I'm not 100% sure it's the Ultimate Nullifier, but for some reason I can't read your mind, so I'm not going to take any chances. And so Galactus accepted Reed's terms that he swore he would never attack Earth again and left.
That's great.
And so then, after Galactus leaves, Uatu was standing there the whole time, by the way, just watching. Right?
As one does.
Yes. And so they go, wow, Reed, how did you manage to recreate the Ultimate Nullifier? He goes, I didn't. This is just some random junk that I threw together.
Nice.
And they're like, but but how did you fool Galactus? And Reed says, well, I'm not sure why he couldn't read my mind. And Uatu says, oh, sorry. You see, I was trying to watch what was going on, and in order to properly observe everything, I figured that I would monitor your thoughts, and this may have accidentally had the effect of preventing Galactus from reading your mind.
Nice. That's awesome.
Now, this show, so let me say this right off the bat. I really like the show.
I do too. It's a good premise. I thought the second season was weak.
Yeah, the second season was definitely weaker than the first, and my problem was that I think they put themselves in a corner with this show, in that instead of being each episode, like each issue of the comic book, is a one-shot what-if question about some pivotal moment in Marvel history,
right?
They tried to sew it all together into this larger story that involves Uatu directly, where the ultimate Ultron becomes a direct threat to Uatu, and so he assembles the what did he call the Guardians of the Multiverse?
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, whoa, where are you going, buddy? You're leaving the premise behind.
Where are you going, buddy?
So and the thing is that there are plenty of what if comics that end in absolute catastrophe.
Agreed.
And those are sometimes, and Uatu will look at the end of the comic book and say, what if Phoenix had not died is one of them. It's like,
I love that one.
And what if Phoenix had not died? Phoenix ends up going toe to toe with Galactus and beating him, by the way. And then she gets so distraught. I can't remember exactly what happened. I think Scott dies, and she gets so distraught that she unleashes her full power. It consumes the Earth, and then it consumes our galaxy, and then it continues to consume the entire universe. And Uatu looks like he just stares at you, and he's saying, so perhaps the death of Jean Grey was a tragedy, but if she had not died, it would have been a much greater tragedy.
Way worse.
Yeah. And so
where do you think this goes?
That's kind of the fun, is like you see, for better or for worse, what could have been. So I think them trying to sew it together into a cohesive story so everything has to have a happy ending is not good.
Agreed.
So because of that, I would put What If solidly in the B tier. I want to give it an A so bad, but they just couldn't stick to their own format.
I agree. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a tough one when you stop and think about it, because you sit here and you say to yourself, because they want to almost create something, like you said, episodic or whatever, and you want to sit here and go, guys, but that's not, like, why can't you just lean into your premise? Yeah. Give us more. It doesn't have to be 6 episodes that are random and now a 2-parter that pulls everyone together from this thing. It doesn't have to be that. Stop.
Right. Just give us 8 random episodes.
I would have been very happy with it anthologically. Just give me crazy scenarios. What if Spider-Man did get a black symbiote suit or something? Whatever, anything. Give us any of the things that there were tons of real what ifs stories they could have gone from.
Well, like, what if Wolverine had killed the Hulk?
All of that.
What if Loki? But if you want to stick to the Marvel premise, the MCU,
sure,
which is fine, which is what I thought they were going to do.
Yeah.
So you do things like, what if Loki's invasion was successful?
Oh, perfect. That would have been great. Or that could have been where you introduced Jane Foster. What if Jane Foster was worthy?
Yeah.
And
what if Iron Man had not died?
Right.
So
many cool ideas that you could have done.
Right. There's a ton there. What if Steve Rogers had not fallen into the ice?
Oh, dude. Again, great ideas. Great ideas.
And so, you just stick with your premise.
Super fascinating and very interesting. And you could totally do well in the 25-minute format.
Right. So, because, like, if you do the what if Steve Rogers had not gone into the ice, then you start out by having Steve Rogers having his happy ending with Agent Carter.
Right.
Then, fast forward, and what happens with the Avengers with no Captain America?
It would have, but now, see, I would have gone a different route. Because Peggy starts S.H.I.E.L.D. So and with Steve, they could still start Shield, and now you get to that same era, and he's the equivalent of
Yeah.
your Nick Fury.
Right.
He's the one who organized Shield, put him together, and maybe Nick Fury's a young upstart working for him. You know what I'm saying? With no patch. You know what I'm saying?
I still think we need to get to the Loki invasion. And because how would the Avengers team, how would it have been different if there was no frozen Captain America?
you have old Captain America doing the Nick Fury job, and he's the one who brought all these people together.
Right, but who takes Cap's place on the team? Who's going to actually field lead the team? Because Steve Rogers at that point would look like Steve Rogers at the end of Endgame.
Yeah, but he still has a super soldier serum. The guy's almost 100 plus years old, if not more. He's still kicking. No, he's not Captain America. I feel like he would have. Yeah, I feel like you're right. You need somebody. Who would that have been? Great question. That's a good question.
Well, like T'Challa would have been a great person to put in there.
I could have seen that. Yeah, I could see that.
But the problem is that they never explore those concepts. Instead, they went for this weird Guardians of the Multiverse thing.
Yeah, which I'm like, I want to sit here and go, why did you backdoor me into a different show?
Yeah.
Don't sell me on this.
What if was what if?
Right. Don't sell me on that and then suddenly bait and switch me into another show.
It's a good show, but it should have been a great show.
I will say this: with the holidays a coming, I know one thing that will definitely be a rewatch for my family this year. It was Hawkeye.
Yes.
Hawkeye season 1.
Hawkeye season 1 was so refreshingly just fun.
Oh wow! I swear I thought this was one we'd argue about. Because I know a lot of people don't like it. I loved this show. My wife and I loved this show.
I really enjoyed Hawkeye. Now, did I think it was flawless? No, I think
No, of course not.
I think their use of the Kingpin was a little ham-fisted and
way ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the fact that, I mean, as soon as you hear the gunshot, I'm like, oh, he's not dead because they didn't show him.
Oh, sure. Well,
Yeah.
not to mention, and this is also continues Marvel's ham-fisted way of introducing us to characters that don't belong.
Yeah.
We introduced to Echo. Echo is a character that comes from the Daredevil comics, but she's not a character that anyone's ever cared about greatly. And so,
correct me if I'm wrong, but Echo is not deaf or missing a leg in the comic books either.
No, she's missing a leg, and I think she's mute. She's not deaf.
Okay. I know the actress is, which is, okay, great. That's all wonderful and everything. And the actress it's not CGI. She is actually missing a leg.
Yeah. No, and she's an actress who does a lot of her stunt work and everything else. And,
right. And so I'll give them props as far as that. But are you just putting her there because you want to put a disabled person on screen and have them do crazy stuff? Or is there an organic reason for her to be there?
I think the nature of the question is unfair, but I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
By that I mean, who cares? Because now, don't get me wrong, if it's like, to me, whether or not the character is disabled or not is not intrinsically. Because the thing is, here's the thing: they stack up a lot. Yeah. She's deaf. She has a disability. She's mute. She's Native American. And it's like, bro,
every box.
Can we just hold on? She's a she. Can we stop?
Well, maybe she's trans. If she's trans, then you've checked every box.
Well, but what's funny is, and don't even give me that part, because the thing is, they introduce in season 2 of What If one of the most interesting Native American characters, who's a female character, and she's amazing. I love her.
And she was an original, wasn't she?
Original for this series, and now they're rolling her into the comics, which I think is always cool. But my point is, trust me, Echo is a character who's misplaced. And when we get to her show, we'll talk even more about that. Though there are things about her show that I did enjoy. So
Echo, to me, does drag this show down a little bit. Kingpin drags this show down a little bit.
Yes, definitely.
Which is unfortunate. Because I got to say, Hawkeye and little girl Hawkeye, I don't know.
Just call her by her character name, Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop, yeah, that's what it was.
We also get a Florence Pugh cameo as what's her face, as the character, the other, I want to say her sister, the other Black Widow.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
that's one of the coolest scenes.
That was a cool scene.
when she's talking, she goes, and just every she keeps saying her name, Kate Bishop, and
What you talking about, Keith Bishop? Yeah.
and she's making food.
Yeah. Would you like some food? I hungry. Yeah.
She's, oh my god.
Yeah. So honestly, I think that Black Widow.
Yelena Belova.
Yeah, I think Black Widow should have been the primary antagonist, and she could have been hired by Kingpin.
Yes, and you could. What's funny is this. That would have been so much better because you could have easily had at the very, very end, she's talking to someone, whatever, and then you see him put the phone down. We're going to have to make other plans or whatever. That's all I would have needed.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have undermined anything. You know what I mean? And then, but instead you gave me half-hearted Kingpin.
Right.
And it's like, really? You gave me half-hearted Kingpin, you gave me discount Swordsmith. Okay, yeah. Her Kate Bishop's soon-to-be stepdad.
Yeah, he was.
He's the actual Swordmaster, rather.
Yeah.
He's a character from the comics named Swordmaster.
He was a complete waste of time.
And I'm like, why?
But the thing is that the relationship between Kate Bishop and Hawkeye was priceless. That was really good. I love the fact that Hawkeye's whole goal was just to get home for the holidays. And
I do dig that too.
So the thing is, it gets a lot of points for me for the heroes, but a lot of negativity for me for the villains, it was just missed opportunity after missed opportunity. I will say that their use of the PIM particles was so fun.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
With the off with the van, and it's like, oh man, worst way to go. They're all going to get eaten by an owl.
I love that so much. Where does this live for you on the scale of rankings?
It's tough. This is such a tough one for me to rate because where it's good, it's really, really good, and where it's bad,
I only put it there as a placeholder. We can move it, but
where'd you put it? About B
tier right now.
Honestly, I think that's kind of where it should be home.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, it would be an A tier if Kingpin was just a cameo in the last scene of the show.
Yes.
If you just done,
that would have been so great.
You can refer to him as the big guy throughout the entire show, and then we don't see him until the very last shot of the show,
which would have been priceless.
Yes, because Kingpin didn't feel like that much of a threat in this.
He really didn't. That's real.
Yeah, it kind of cheapened him a bit.
That's a fair way to put it. It's sort of, you're right. It cheapened him. I like the way that. Yeah.
And because Kingpin he's the Penguin.
Yes.
And he should feel like that. He should feel like Penguin now feels like a serious threat. Kingpin, after this show, did not feel like a threat.
I agree. I didn't want to agree, but I do agree with that. Okay, so now, right on the heels of this stuff, we got into. It's funny. We actually got one of our very first special presentations, which was Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night was a very interesting story concept. It was a one-shot comic that rolled into that became part of other things in the lore. So it itself wasn't super special, but one thing we got from it was Man-Thing.
Yes, which they nailed. It's funny because Man-Thing says nothing, does very little, but dang, they nailed it.
Oh, really? They did. No, they did.
And I want to see Man-Thing come back at some point.
I do too.
I really, going into this, I didn't know what to expect. Most of the characters, except for Man-Thing, I wasn't really familiar with any of the characters in this show.
I wasn't either. That whole storyline about the bloodstones and all that stuff, or whatever, that was all new to me.
So yeah, I had no idea what to expect going into this. And I was genuinely surprised at what a fun Halloween special this really was.
They leaned into that so well, that stylist. Yeah. Michael Giacchino, everybody knows him as a composer, he's the one who directed and oversaw writing of the series, and I think he did such a
good series. It's a one-shot.
It was the presentation, sorry.
Yeah.
But he did it amazing. He did an amazing job. I would love to see him do more stuff in this universe. And I know that we're supposed to. I mean, Werewolf by Night is really going to, if they really are doing oh my God, who are those guys? Not the Defenders, the other ones.
The Dark Avengers or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. There's one with Doctor Strange and some others that are. It's got Ghost Rider. It's got.
The funny thing is, the Defenders had strange Ghost Rider man thing.
Originally, yeah. No, this is something. So we'll see. But anyway, I would love to see them do that.
Like a mystical team.
Yeah, man, give us that, and especially because again, this was done so well. I really liked it. They put out a color version later because they're stupid and can't help themselves.
Yeah, that was dumb. The black and white is perfect for this.
And they filmed it and it looked like it was filmed originally like a black and white thing.
Right.
Great.
So yeah, absolutely enjoyed this from start to end. It's not quite, its connection to the rest of the MCU is almost non-existent. So except to say that, okay, this is probably one of the other universes,
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. Like, it's really very little connection at all.
Yeah. So and honestly, they should have gone for, and I know Marvel hadn't done it yet, but they should have gone for a R rating kind of show, given the subject matter and everything. But I understand if they were trying to make something with monsters and yet for kids, this would be it.
Sure. No.
So I would put this in the A tier.
Really?
Yes. I think it's really solid. But to go S tier, I think that they needed to either lean into the horror a little bit more or connect it to the MCU in some way.
No, I'll go with you. I'll go A. I was concerned because it's such a different fare that you were going to be more like B or even C. So, but I agree. I think this does a really good. I think this is a lot of fun stuff that I'm down for. Like,
you guys were fighting so much tonight.
Yeah, I know, which is terrible because that's like the premise of the whole thing. But whatever. What was the question? What if Iron Man what?
What if Iron Man and Whiplash work together? I've clicked on it by accident because you put that in a few minutes ago. But that actually would be an interesting question. But like remember, Whiplash was ostracized because of what happened to his dad. But what happened if he was working for Stark Industries and he and Tony Stark developed the tech together?
Good question.
So that would have been actually an interesting episode of What If. Unfortunately, What If wasn't really What If.
So what if Batman was in the MCU? Well, he might look a little bit like Moon Knight, and that brings us to the next show.
Moon Knight was a show.
So here's the thing. I enjoyed Oscar Isaac's performance.
Yes.
I enjoyed the way they depicted the transformations of him from one to the next. I think it's probably the closest thing that I can imagine being able to really do in terms of trying to make what happens in the comics a reality. Because they do a lot of playing with the boxes and moving some things, and so like panels aren't straight when it comes to his shifting from personality to personality. So it worked in terms of me as a comic fan going. It read like what it was. Then the problem where it falls apart is it's a really flimsy story. It's a very, very flimsy story. Actually, one of the first things I rated on my channel. So if you ever want to look at this in the replay, I'll probably add a card up in the left-hand section of my channel. It was. I liked a lot of what they were doing. The pieces were all there.
The other channels too.
The pieces were all there for a really interesting thing. I think that it ended up being too much. Because, for instance, it goes off the rails and gets hyper
supernatural. Get into the afterlife and stuff, and
Moon Knight's always been supernatural, but I feel like they were like, look, we may never ever get a second season, which, by the way, does not look like they will. We got to put everything in this because I feel like they filled 2 seasons worth of stuff in that first season.
Yeah. Did we need a whole episode though of them talking to a giant hippopotamus on a ship sailing through the desert?
Yes.
Okay.
Nothing felt more comic booky to me than that. No, I don't. But that's a journey that should have happened like in a second season.
Yeah.
When you earned that level of grace for us to go, oh my God, okay, well clearly you guys are going to bring this around, so I'm down. In the beginning, it was hard to follow at first, especially because they played real fast and loose with the afterlife rules. So it was weird.
So I'll say that the funny thing is, Marvel has now depicted the afterlife in multiple franchises in the MCU.
Yeah.
and none of them are consistent with each other. So
they are blissfully inconsistent. In fact, Marvel has expressed on several occasions, heaven is both a construct of your belief system and your culture. So, for instance, the Norse people go to Vikings or whatever went to Valhalla. It was a thing for them,
which we did see in Thor.
Yes,
and Thunder.
Yes, Valhalla's real, but also like death.
We got to kind of a heavenly approach in Guardians 3.
Whereas,
when Rocket went
better example for things we've seen. Hela is an avatar of death.
Yes,
she is an avatar of death. She oversees the Norse version of hell.
Yes.
Rio, who we just saw in Agatha, is actually death. She is the actual.
Right. So Hela worked for her.
Correct. She is empowered. She powers Hela, but they're both avatars or constructs of the concept of death. And so that's kind of how that's an example of how, like, there's multiple people. Mephisto is not the devil. Mephisto is just Mephisto. Yeah. He is one of many variations of the theme of Satan in.
Right. They kind of take a weird, almost universalist approach to theology in Marvel, where
I'll go with that.
Pretty much every major concept of heaven, hell from the various religious beliefs are all true in some sense. So you kind of go to the heaven you expect to go to, or you go to the hell you expect to go to.
Sure.
But so Moon Knight, I will agree with you that Oscar Isaac absolutely brought his A game. He was great. Everything else about the show was a convoluted mess. And I could not stand the fact that they cheapened out and skipped every freaking major action scene by just having him pass out and wake up and the action's over. And I understand that he would have no memory of the action because of his multiple personality deal. But as a viewer, I want to see the action.
Yeah, it was super contrived to bring cop out. I get that.
I was so angry. The first time they did it, I was like, ha ha ha. But then when they realized, they're going to do that for every action scene, and I was like, no, that ain't cool. That is.
The first time it makes sense because we haven't really tipped our hand to the fact that he has this yet.
Right.
And then but then once we knew and once we're in it, give us a couple, even if it's not all of them, give us some.
Right. And in fact, I think that the action scenes that we missed, we should have seen later in some kind of flashback. And
I'll go with that.
But instead we got, so it's a Marvel superhero show with almost no action in it, but lots and lots of scenes that lead up to action scenes.
True story. That's fair.
So, and then it ended up with two kaiju fighting over the pyramids of Egypt.
It ended on the most Power Ranger of Power Rangers. I literally was like,
wait, what?
Did I switch shows?
Yeah, how did we get here? I was like,
this just happened.
This is like Godzilla X Kong.
It's the highest budget toy, Toho Studios big monster fighting thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Better than Ultraman or any of those
other
ones.
The funny thing is that Godzilla X Kong had Godzilla and Kong fighting over the pyramids.
That's so true.
So this anyway. So for me,
it says they saved a lot of money on the action scenes.
They absolutely did. They didn't pay any stuntmen. I'll tell you that.
By the way, this show has gotten way longer than I think. I don't know. We got a lot of places.
I'm so sorry. I'll try to hurry. So, for me, C tier on this one.
Fair enough. Let me go ahead and put the. I think I had. Did I have that on there already?
I don't know if you did or not. I'm still looking at us.
No, I know. I'm trying to. I have to. Well, because I've had to actually, believe it or not, I've had to actually download. So the list I'm using on Whatchajigger doesn't have all of the graphics. I thought it did, but it's missing some. So I'm having to add yours to it. But you said C?
C is what I said for Moon Knight. Yeah.
I'll agree with that. I'll go with that. There you go.
All right.
Well, it's the only one living in the C tier at the moment, but at the same time, I agree.
We're getting into late season Marvel stuff, so I think the C tier might get packed a little bit.
We start packing a wall.
All right, so what's next on the list?
Let me see if I can. Where's she at? I know she was here a minute ago. See, all of a sudden I'm having trouble finding things. Where did it go?
Mr. Know-It-All clearly doesn't know it all.
Well, keeping track of every single background that's been played. Yeah, I can understand. You're right. How many plates are you juggling?
Well, shut up.
Got quiet all of a sudden. No, just kidding. Kamala Khan. We're talking. I don't. For some reason, I don't have her background here loaded. Oh well, then I'll put them here. You get the generic Marvel for now.
Okay.
That's fine.
So
It was Ms. Marvel. I did a whole thing, and apparently, when I uploaded them in bulk, I missed one.
Okay, so I'll let you go first. What did you think of Miss Marvel?
I didn't finish it. We got through. We did the first episode, and I started the second one. And Baby Know It All was tapped. She was watching it with me, and she tapped out. And after that, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to watch it if you're not watching because I have no interest." Because it wasn't talking to me, and I thought it was talking to her. And my 18-year-old, then 16-year-old, she says to me, she goes, I think they were aiming for 16." But they were hitting closer to 13 because all of this feels very younger to me. And I was like, really? So it was very enlightening for me that she saw it that way because it allowed me to kind of understand. But then, like I said, you see the character, I've said this on the show before, the same character in the Marvels, and she's wonderful. It's endearing. So maybe it's about the story they were trying to tell at the time. I just didn't care for her too much, at least for me.
So you gave up after 2 episodes?
Yeah, it wasn't speaking to me. It didn't do anything for me.
Okay, well, this is where I'll pick a little bit of a fight. I really I was expecting the show to suck.
Fair enough.
I was going into it with very low expectations. I was like, this is the point when people started saying Marvel is doing nothing but checking boxes with everything.
Right.
And some of their recent movies and shows have started to show some of that. And I was like, oh, so now, of course, they're bringing in the Pakistani Muslim girl.
I didn't see. Here's the thing, real quick. I didn't like the show.
I'm not saying you're
okay. I just didn't. For some reason, it just wasn't for me. Like, I thought the effects were doing well. The story they were telling was fine. I just didn't find it engaging and wasn't pulled in like I wanted to be. But at the same time, that's one of those first times where I had to realize not every show is for me. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of wondering, well, who is this for? And it's a very specific audience, it felt like. But no, I didn't. I want to. I might give another shot, I guess.
No, I understand. Don't get me wrong. I'm not accusing you of this kind of thought. I'm just saying, but this was being broadcast out on the internet a lot at the time.
Fair enough.
And so I was going in feeling a little pessimistic about the show. And then I absolutely fell in love with Kamala Khan. I really...
She's a wonderfully engaging actress.
She sells so much being a fangirl of this stuff. Yeah. That, to me, if I were a girl, that would be my attitude about the Marvel. It's like, oh, my God. Whenever she, has anything even remotely tangentially involved with Marvel, she gets super duper excited. And I absolutely love that, she felt like a genuine fangirl.
She did.
And then she ends up getting powers, and she's like, holy crap, this is awesome, And so, but she's also scared by it at the same time. Now, the show goes a little off the rails where they do this weird time travel thing, and they go back and they try to show you how horrible things were when...
Oh,
when the Brits were in India and stuff. And I was like, I think, kind of derailed the show for a couple of episodes. Sure. But then it got back on track. And
well, it's funny, but then a lot of people would, and I know a lot of people would argue that's character development. It's giving you background. And my thing is, but okay, I mean, I guess.
It just didn't feel like it belonged with the rest of the show.
Fair. That's fair.
So it's one thing if that's what the show was about.
Right.
If the show was simply about the way that Muslims are treated by the colonizing Brits, and then she time travels back to see how it all started. Okay, fine, but that's not what this show is about. This show is about a fangirl who ends up part of what she was fangirling over,
Sure.
and quite by accident.
Well, because with great power comes great responsibility. You can't know that responsibility unless you know who all the colonizers are.
Right, of course. So that being said, I thoroughly enjoyed the show. And she, more than anything else, is the reason that I watched the Marvels. Because Photon I liked, but she didn't do much in WandaVision. She was just kind of there.
Sure.
But I like the character, Monica Rambeau. But Kamala, I absolutely loved as a character, and I was looking forward to seeing her on the big screen. And just the fact that she brought that youthful energy to the Marvels, she's like, "Oh, we're a team now," and they're like, "No, we're not. No, we're not. Yes, we are. We're a superhero team." That was so fun. I would. I don't know what you're gonna say because you ditched the show after 2 episodes.
No, I'm not going to make a judgment.
Okay.
But you tell me where you want it because I haven't seen enough to be able to give a good, honest opinion.
I would put Miss Marvel in the B tier.
Okay.
I didn't think it was great because of the derailing thing about them going back in time, but I thought it was an enjoyable show.
That's fair. I don't have a reason to argue that point. I think that's a good as it gets. It's funny. I just got finished watching a couple of your reviews of the next one, which I thought was interesting. The next one obviously brings us to She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, attorney at law.
Yeah, it's a legal show that doesn't legal too much, and it's also got a weirdly specific angle that they go in. So, okay, no, matter of fact, I'm going to call it out. I'm not even going to be silly about it because I remember I was a fan of the original She-Hulk comics, specifically the John Byrne run. The John Byrne run was a very lampshady. It used titillation, but at the same time self-deprecated it.
Right,
So
and
sort of lampshading still.
Deadpool before there was a Deadpool.
Correct. And so this chooses to take a feminist approach to something that was already, in my opinion, inherently feminist. There are people who will argue that it was done as a tongue-in-cheek, backhanded thing. I would argue differently, and that I never saw a more empowered character, regardless of the scenario she was in. You know what I mean? And so I feel like I didn't like it from that level, but at the same time, I was willing and open to watch it, and then the show just didn't give on its premise. It aside from preaching to me at every opportunity it could that apparently she's way more into she's has a harder time than Bruce Banner has controlling his inner beast or demons or whatever, or she's stronger or more appropriate to it. I don't know. I couldn't tell. It was confusing. It just kind of all started to become preachy. And then even the stuff that is happening, breaking fourth walls, was more, it's like they went back and added more of them. They feel disjointed sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so again, I thought it was just a wasted premise because this could have been so much better. And instead it went in a different direction that I think it didn't need to. So it was if you watch my reviews with me and Mrs. Know-It-All, we started watching it. She jumps off about halfway through, and because she was super excited at the beginning, and then just felt super disappointed by it after.
Right.
So anyway, it is really getting crazy late at this point for me. Because I have to be up in 5 hours or less than, not even in 3 hours to do Lower Decks. So we may have to call this for now and finish this at a later time.
Well, how many shows do we have left?
We've got this to talk about. Then we've got, let's see, what is this? Hold on. I can't see the graphic. It's so small. Oh God, Secret Invasion, Echo, and then Agatha.
Okay. I just not much. So what we can do is we could table that for Saturday since we have Lower Decks. Then we'll finish this with She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, Echo, and Agatha, right?
Yes.
And then we'll do open lines after that, assuming that we finish in a decent amount of time.
Sounds good to me.
Yes. So because She-Hulk, I think we have some unpacking to do.
I agree. That's why I didn't want to rush too fast, because there's a whole lot of going on here.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And yeah, before I even open my mouth, I think that, yeah, we need to make sure we have a little bit of time to discuss on She-Hulk. Because I'll tell you, my first real experience with She-Hulk was when she joined the Fantastic Four. And
That's a great run. I remember that.
yeah, and that was I believe a John Byrne run as well. And I remember and obviously I have it, but there's this one issue that kind of shows like what you were talking about as far as the feminism angle is there's this dude, this shady looking dude who's got a camera hanging around his neck and everything, and he's holding up what is obviously Playboy magazine, right? But it's opened up to the centerfold. And on the centerfold is She-Hulk. But you have like his hand that's pointing at the picture, cleverly covering the necessary bits.
Sure.
Right? And he says, "Hey guys, what's 7 feet tall? It has a staple in her navel." Right? And then behind him, you see She-Hulk like this.
That's hilarious.
And the whole issue of this is a Fantastic Four issue. The entire issue is about the fact that she was nude sunbathing on the roof of the Baxter building, and a helicopter flew by, and the guy took some pictures, sold it to a dirty magazine, and so then she puts on her lawyer clothes and starts going after him.
See, very intelligent arguing, a very intelligent scenario, and a good, well set up.
Yeah,
it's a good setup. Again,
that's the kind
vastly better than most of the episodes we got of the show.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll talk about that on Saturday. In the meantime, so you're doing Lower Decks tonight?